3, 2, 1.
Absolute DC Comics is just over a month away, and we are all extremely excited. I mean, not just us here on the panel, but so many of you on our Discord server, the internet, the world over. People are very excited about what DC has coming for us in October. And so we thought now, about a month away, was the perfect time to let DC know, because of course they are watching us, what we think they must do, what they must get right in order to make sure that Absolute DC is a success. Because I believe that DC has to get this right. I believe that they haven't had the attention of the comic sphere and
Hmm.
the world, even the way that they do right now. The momentum is on their side because the hype is on their side, but we have seen them squander that before. 13 years ago with the new 52, we saw them squander it. So today, between the three of us, Kale,
What's up? Absolute dogs.
Marco,
Hello, hello, hello.
and of course I'm Sean, we and you, the listener, whether you are with us live or in the future, are going to generate a message that DC is absolutely going to hear. And together, we are going to let them know what we believe they have to do in order to ensure that Absolute is a success.
To get us all in.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Love it, love it, love it. Love to see everybody in the chat. Keep filing in, keep saying hello. Okay. Oh, and also, chat, remind me, after this conversation wraps, it is the last day of August. We've got some memberships to give away.
Oh, hello.
Oh,
We've
you
got
know what
some,
time it is.
yeah, we've got some memberships to give away. So remind me, and we will do that a little bit later on. We've got a big show for you guys today. Thank you for spending your morning with us. And if, of course, if you are not, an American, excuse me for being so America Central, wherever you are in the world, thank you
Thank
for
you.
spending your
Finally.
day with us.
Some recognition.
Sorry, Kale. Sorry. Okay. So I'll kick things off because I put some thought into this. I do believe that there are some things that DC does have to do. This is a bit of a, it's a little bit of a joke. Will DC hear this? I don't know. But I do think there are some things that they legitimately need to get right.
Now,
And
can I,
what?
sorry, can I ask a clarifying question before we get into it?
Please
Is
do.
this about all in or is this about absolute specifically or
This is
all in?
about this is about absolute, but I guess all in can be a part of it as well. But my mind
Okay.
is on
Okay.
absolute.
Hmm.
Okay. Great.
So the first thing is, and I think this sort of ties into what you just asked, Kale, is they need to establish the need for this and validate this universe right away.
Mm.
I think you can look to what Marvel did with Ultimate, the new Ultimate universe, where they started it with an event. I don't think DC should do that, nor are they. But they started it with, hey, here's the maker interacting with 616, right? And DC's kind of doing that with Darkseid a little bit through the All In #1, the All In special. And then we see the maker go and essentially create the Ultimate Universe. And that's bad because the maker's a bad guy and he's essentially creating a universe that doesn't have superheroes in it. And so these superheroes, the people like Peter Parker, like Tony Stark, they come about their powers and their destinies in different ways. So it makes it meaningfully different and interesting right off rip. I believe that the absolute universe has to validate itself and make itself interesting straight away. It can't just be, oh, hey, here's a new universe, guys. Wow, look at this. It has to spawn from something that makes us say, oh, I got to see what's going on with this.
Hmm.
Have they done that already with the
Uh,
announcements that have come so far? do you feel like they've done at least some of that already?
I think the intent is there, but we need to see the execution. I need to read all in #1 because that is going to tell us a lot of what we need to know on that side of things.
Sure. I would say so far, basic from what we know anyway, to me, Wonder Woman is the one where that key is really going to fit. To me, the Bat title feels a bit like Ultimate Spider-Man. If you're comparing these, apples to apples, um, you know, we know what Batman is going to look like, similar to the way we kind of knew what Ultimate Spider-Man was going to look like. Peter's a father, he's got kids, he's a little bit older. You know, Batman doesn't have money. He's going to be crazy muscled. He's going to have a great big bat logo that people are really going to be divided on.
Yeah. And I think all of those things are very like I'm very excited for the books for sure. If there's going to be a through line, which I think DC is pretty, they've been pretty open about the fact that there is, and that Darkseid is sort of that through line character,
Yeah.
then that does what we're saying, and I am excited to see that play out. So I think they're on the right track based on what we know.
I think to what you said earlier about making sure this is distinct, meaningfully distinct, is probably the biggest piece for me, as ensuring that what we see won't feel like, and from some of the art and stuff, it doesn't look derivative. It doesn't feel like trodden ground necessarily, and so continuing to have that feeling throughout the book, throughout the books, is probably the biggest thing, because we can when the new Ultimate line launched, a lot of people were trying to figure out if it was pulling from the original series, if it was pulling from that universe as much as possible. But I feel like they've done a good job of making it feel separate.
Yeah.
And so that same thing has to happen here. All In can't seem like the absolute stuff. Vice versa. You need to have that meaningful distinction so you can also engage a different crowd, or potentially a different crowd.
Yeah, like I'm glad that this isn't, or at least to this moment. We'll know more when we get Absolute or All In #1. But I'm glad this isn't just like Earth 5 or,
Yeah.
Earth 52, like none of that, because we've seen all that. In order for this to feel different, it can't just be referred to as another Earth. Those Earths don't factor into DC storytelling until it does. This has to feel like its own living, breathing universe that, we're supposed to follow because it matters. If it don't matter, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess the third line. I was gonna say, what's gonna make it matter for you more so than will something make it matter more to you than the continued continuity of All In potentially?
Yeah. Yeah. For me, because obviously, like I read all sorts of stuff that's out of continuity. And it's totally fine. Like we read Black Label and those kinds of things. But when it comes to this, for it to matter, I need to believe that there's a bigger plan at play. Even if that plan doesn't reflect on mainline DC, it needs to exist unto itself.
Gotcha.
So, to use Ultimate as another example again, there is an overarching story that's being told. Now, that story is contained right now within Ultimate, and I don't care if it ever crosses over. I don't need it to. But there is a wider story being told. It's not just, hey, let's just do these different books just to do them. They exist in the same shared space, and they are important stories to the universe itself. And that's what that's why I'm enjoying it so much.
Yeah, and I feel like having that foresight, like being able to see the plans, always gives me confidence, because then I know that it feels well thought out. It feels like we're not just thinking about the short-term gain of a new launch, a new universe, the fanfare portions of it,
Yeah.
and that there's a want for actual storytelling.
Definitely. What is up? Amin Perez, thank you for joining us. Robert Cashabak, good to see you. Mike Critiques, who's been blowing our Discord up. Good to have you here, bud. James Jones, what's up? Atomic Hound, thank you for joining us. Eric Carter, good to see you. Afro SF says they are a recent convert. Well, welcome.
From the
Welcome.
algorithm.
Yes, the algorithm.
Wild. Maybe it's not so bad.
It's brought some good and some bad our way. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Phenomenal
Sure.
AC, what's up? Says, don't forget to smash the like button. I agree with that
Smash.
message. Sylv Stevenson says, hey, from Canada. Hey, yourself.
Hey,
From the Americas. Enjoy Canada. I've always wanted to go.
Hey,
What's up?
England.
YARC9, Gore Vidal, Leatrix, who's watching us at 16:20 a.m. Or,
Nope,
yeah, I
PM.
guess that would be
PM.
a.m. PM?
PM.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
So what time is that?
So that's
4.
military time. That's 4. Yeah, that's 20 past 4.
4 p.m.
Yeah.
So he's an hour ahead of me.
You're uncorking the wine at 4 p.m.
Oh, it's
Okay,
5 o'clock.
Hey,
5
man.
o'clock somewhere.
Yeah,
fair enough.
or close to.
Fair enough. Those are just the names I can see right now. Hello and welcome to all of you, all 70 of you that are here with us. Thank you for joining us. Here's another point that I had. Surprise us with
Yeah.
meaningful changes to characters, which they've already done, just in the opening material. But
Somewhat.
yeah, somewhat. But do not stray too far from why we care about. It is still Batman, it's still Superman, it's still Wonder Woman. They have to feel like that. I have to feel like I'm reading the characters that I care about, but I still want to see new things done with them. Things that you could never do in mainline DC. This is a fresh start for Batman. You don't get this opportunity too often. Make it count.
Take advantage of that new system that you're forming. Yeah.
Well, the same with Wonder Woman, too. It's just like, the premise is far away from, Diana being a princess on an island filled with women.
Right.
She is the regent of hell or something. Like, that's a pretty big difference. And we need to see her character come through, to a certain degree, so that she's at least sort of recognizable, even if she has a little bit of edge.
Yeah, absolutely. And like it's fun to see that, right? It's fun to look at, and obviously it's helped by the fact that Hayden Sherman and all of the artists, frankly, who have done, not just official DC artwork, but some of the fan fiction. And by that I mean I'm including creators who have done it, for free on social media just because they want to be a part of it. Like this character looks really sick. This new iteration, Absolute Wonder Woman, she looks amazing.
Yeah.
And when I look at her, I'm like, what are the stories gonna be like? Like, what does Kelly Thompson have planned for that? Because it's so visually interesting. And I get that feeling, to be honest, with the other two as well. Wonder Woman is the standout, I think. But I get that feeling with the other two. Like, what is up with this version of Batman? And we've learned a little bit more about him this week, and we'll talk about that in a few seconds. But what's up with him? What's going on with Superman? Why is he pissed? What's up with that? Like, I want those answers, and I hope that those answers are surprising. And what about the characters we haven't been teased yet with? Like, we haven't really seen much for the Green Lantern or Flash. What are the surprises that DC has in store with those? Why do it here and not in mainline? The answer has to be interesting.
Joe is the Green Lantern, right?
I've read a lot that suggests that there will be more than one Green Lantern, but Joe is the one that they have shown us, or at least we believe it's Joe. I'm not sure if I have personally seen DC's word that it is Joe.
Okay.
Maybe chat knows better, but that, you know,
Yeah, I think you hit all the points there for making this feel and be presented as distinct. And I think those answers that you mentioned, right, the things that of the characters have to be told, I hope that they break that out in story, because you can. This past week we read Avengers versus Alien, right? And in that there was context built out for what happens in that story versus starting at a certain point. And I think that these books, because they are part of that new universe, need to follow suit. They need to have the context, the explanation, because those answers to those questions have to lead to meaningful story at the end of the day, because that's going to be the end through lines for those.
sure. Yeah. Spiral Storm with a 5 spot. I'm cool with the new changes to keep it unique. Don't cross over with the new universe. Keep absolute new and refreshing and no nonsense.
5 years, boy.
Okay, first of all, Spiral, thank you for breaking things open with the super chat. Super chats are open. That's a reminder to everybody. Short of doing that, please do make sure you smash that like button and be subscribed if you enjoy what we do. Spiral, I have a note here that says no absolute events. But this is a comic book company. It's a big two comic book company. Maybe we won't see an absolute event unto itself, but I can't imagine that they're going to resist going down the road of an absolute crisis. I believe that that is the name. We cracked that code a few weeks ago. That's the name of the inevitable mainline absolute crossover. It has to be. When they do that is a big factor, I think, in how this is all going to go. And I think if it's anything earlier than 3 years from now, it's way too early. I
Yeah.
think 3 years is too early. I just question how long they can resist that. I think 5 years is a great timeline.
And I think it will be fine to have an event because that will mean things are happening, right? There are stories to bring these characters together, meaning the Trinity, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, bring them together for whatever reason. I think what people don't want are the universes to cross over in a crisis, an absolute crisis, as it were.
Sure.
Yeah, it would just feel too quick, and I think disappointing that'd be the first place that they go, is back to the well. We had, what was the last crisis? Something Darkest Crisis, whatever the fuck.
Darkest Crisis.
Like almost there.
The
Was he?
that
Yeah, the first word and the last word. And
and that's what
in
matters.
your
No, no, no,
brain,
no, no.
you filled out the rest.
No, Kale. He said Darkest Crisis something. That's what he
dang.
said.
Yeah, that's fair. All right.
Go ahead.
It would have
Sorry,
been more.
Marco.
No. But yeah, not launching or not starting with that out the gate, because I think you need to allow the universe to mature. The things have to happen of consequence to the characters to have them feel like they're changing from start to finish. And 3 years, 30 issues, let's say, right? That doesn't feel like enough time to see meaningful growth within a character, and so you have to keep wait.
Yeah, I agree with that. And when you put it in that frame of 3 years, hopefully 12 issues per year for each title, by the end of that, you're at 36. That's a pretty solid run for an individual creative team, right?
Yeah.
That would be like, wow, you guys really, you did your thing. But for an entire universe, to me, that doesn't feel like very much.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think we've got to be able to get past that. But my question is, you know, each of the creative teams that we know about right now is, well, I want to say they're compelling. I know not everybody agrees with that. They're compelling to me, especially some of the ones that haven't been announced, like Dennis Camp's involvement. I'm excited for Absolute Green Lantern with Al Ewing,
Yeah.
and even Flash. But those creators, all these people, may not want to stick around for 3 to 5. Is Scott Snyder going to do a 3 to 5 year bid on Batman again?
Probably.
You think so?
That dude loves Batman.
For sure.
That dude will he'll send his kids to college on Batman. He don't give a fuck.
Let's be real. He probably is
Yeah.
prepared to do that. Like
Yeah.
that, you know what I'm saying? Scott was like, look, this kid right here, he was barely born when I started at DC. Now he's nearing college age. I got to get back to Batman.
I was just listening to an interview he did, I think yesterday, or at least it
Casual
was posted
Comics.
yesterday. That's
Yeah.
the one.
Yeah.
And he said almost that exact thing.
It's time. Batman is going to pay for my college,
He
for my
said,
kids'
"How
college.
how excited are you to be writing Batman?" He said, "Well, I got bills to pay, and Batman seems to be the only way I can pay him."
There you go.
That's hilarious.
There you go.
I'm paraphrasing.
But in all seriousness though, when those creators say, "Okay, I did my time, I'm moving forward," what happens? Because I'm not trying to denigrate anybody at all. But part of why Absolute is compelling is because they really did go out and get some of the industry stalwarts, but also some of the people who are right on the precipice of being considered all-stars, but we know are great. Kelly Thompson, not necessarily an all-star, but a tremendous talent, arguably my favorite writer right now, right? If she leaves, do you just, do you downgrade? Are these books still absolute? Are they still, you know, must reads if it just becomes run of the mill, get the next creative team that doesn't have as much heat, as tends to happen when you go from a hot team? Typically, the team that you get next is a little bit of a cooling down. I don't think you can do that with Absolute.
Yeah. You need to maintain the talent on the books so that way you can keep pushing the hype. Like and I feel like the longevity of a creator on a book helps to also build that excitement and commitment. I'm committed to seeing Kelly Thompson see this through. I'm committed to seeing Scott Snyder see this through. If you're gonna give me, someone said it in the chat, like, more than 15 issues, and then from there you switch it off, I think that's the wrong move.
Yeah, I think it's got to be top tier creators throughout, and not just top tier. Because Hayden Sherman, for example, the artist behind Wonder Woman, his name is not a name that rings out yet, right? It's not like you go, holy shit, Kelly Thompson and Hayden Sherman, that's insane. I can't believe Hayden Sherman is here. But artists, it's different with artists. When you look at Hayden's work, you go, oh, shit, I'm excited that Hayden's here.
Yep.
So you can definitely do that on the art side of things. But when it's a writer, to get me hyped, I got to know that they've done big stuff that's great before. And all these writers are proven.
Or that they're coming in with an idea that not only is of the same caliber, but takes it to that next level.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a real challenge in this in this section.
Would let's say Kelly Thompson does her 36 issues, she gets it in there, and then now it's time to switch up the team. Do they instead upgrade? I'm going to put this in quotations. Do they upgrade to a Tom King? Like
Oh God. Whoa. Whoa, what the
Upgrade, he
fuck?
said.
So what you're saying? No, 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 no,
Wait,
no.
wait, wait, wait,
Oh, no, no, no.
Caliber.
What you're saying is you want 100 issues of Tom King on Wonder Woman mainline, and then you want that fucker, respectfully, to switch gears and take over Absolute Wonder Woman. Can I get a Wonder Woman written by somebody else? I had to leave. I had to leave mainline Wonder Woman behind, and I want to enjoy the character, and that's why I'm going Absolute Wonder Woman. So you want me to have no refuge? Is that what you're saying?
He said 100 issues. He never said across how many books, what kind of universe. He's doing 50, then he's doing 50.
Wow.
Then I'm
Wow.
absolutely fucked. That's
What a
what you're
curse.
saying.
I'm all out.
I'm all out. How dare you, Marco?
My question being though, do you upgrade from a Kelly Thompson? Do you instead upgrade from a Kelly Thompson or a Scott Snyder to maintain the longevity of those books and the quality or caliber of the books?
What do you say, Kale?
I mean, yes, but I think it's got to be the. I think you have more room here to one make the harder choice. So Kelly Thompson leaves, the harder choice being, well, we just don't have a Wonder Woman. But two, in this cursed example, maybe you don't go with the Tom King, but you go, slightly to the left of that and just pulling out a name like a Stephanie Phillips.
Oh, yes, that is the answer.
There's room in an absolute to make that happen and make it work and put effort and time behind it to make sure, and certainly not to say that Stephanie Phillips isn't that quality,
Right.
but to make sure that it's quality.
And we've been saying 3 years, so I'll stick with that for the sake of this conversation. In 3 years' time, Stephanie Phillips is going to be that much bigger in name,
Yeah.
arguably a superstar. And yes, I would love to see her write Wonder Woman for an extended period of time. Absolutely.
And that to me is one of the keys, is that extended period of time. This needs to lead on the length of a run, in my opinion, with the same creative teams. Make that a complete effort from the editorial front and from the artistic front.
Yeah.
Get them there to say what they want to say.
Exactly. At however long that might be, right? Otherwise, we're stuck doing fucking month-over-month comics or some shit.
Hey, we have over 90 of you with us right now. Love that. Welcome. That is a huge number. For it to just be, for all of you to show up for little old us is pretty nice, so we appreciate it. Make sure you hit the like button. Be subscribed if you're not. Thank you all for joining us right now. There are so many comments and questions coming in that it's like impossible to keep up. Super chats help a lot, but otherwise we'll try to hit what we can.
I've got a few lined up for when you're ready.
Okay,
So,
well, I wanted to answer this one real quick because I've seen
Yeah.
this. I see this come up. Brooklyn Man, what's up, Brooklyn Man? Says, Sean, were you reading Wonder Woman before King's Run? So, I have collected Wonder Woman ever since the New 52. I started with the Rucka, Nicola Scott, and who was the other artist on that? It was a great artist. Was it Liam Sharp? No.
I think it might
Have been? Okay.
I think it might have been.
I started with that run. I fell in love with Wonder Woman through that, and I have collected Wonder Woman ever since. So I guess I go back 13 years. And then I went even further back and I read Gail Simone's incredible Wonder Woman run as well. So I'm pretty locked in with Wonder Woman. And this is the first time in all that time that I'm not buying Wonder Woman. To answer your question. Give us another question, Kel.
You got it. So the first one came in pretty early from my critiques. would Absolute be more successful if they release number ones for free to let people try before they buy?
Nah, I mean, you could put out like an ash can or something, you know, like a collection of a couple pages here and there. I think sell the book. It's a number one. Take advantage of that. I don't think that giving it away for free will necessarily, I don't think more people are gonna pick it up because it's free. I think it's on if you're following comics, on name alone, on the fact that it's a new universe, that it's a collector's item, like all the sum total of what this is, there is no need to release that. People are gonna buy this.
I tend to agree with that. I think a number one is your best opportunity to cash in. And, you know, we all want to see these companies succeed and make as much money as they can. I certainly do. So I want them to make the money off the number one. And I think if you're curious about it, preview pages come out. You know, we always get a few preview pages. And to be honest with you, I say take a shot. Take a shot. Stop buying the book. And we all know it. When I'm about to say we all know it. Think about it, chat. Stop buying the book that is at the bottom of your pull list every time, that you dread. You go, I'm up to this book. I really got to read this. I don't want to read this.
Oh, dude.
It doesn't have to be Ultimate X-Men, but if it was...
I wasn't holding Ultimate X-Men. I was... Stop buying that book and pick up an Absolute.
Now I say... forget free. DC, hey, listen. Am I on the side of the corporation? Ugh, gross. Forget free. What I posit, let's hold the line at $2.99.
Damn.
Oh, let's go back to that. I like that.
The bullet logo, the price, we're back. We're there.
You want to take us back? Take us all the way back.
Yeah.
There are 98 people right now. If we hit 100 people right now, I might do a backflip. I can't do a backflip. That is not a promise.
Just roll back in your chair.
Just flip the screen.
Raphael Druniak. Hopefully I said that right. I'm sorry if I didn't. Welcome. First time chatter
Yo, lurker.
that I've ever seen.
Lurker.
And dropping a super chat right off rip. A 5 spot. Thank you.
Racking off a fiver.
Yes. What do you think about DC going the Image way? Keep the same creative team on all issues by having 2 or 3 month breaks between story arcs. That is something that I hadn't considered.
I love it.
Yeah, to me, the monthly grind exists in Mainline. We already get it.
Yeah.
If it meant never having a fill-in artist, I'd accept that for Absolute. I don't know about 3 months. That feels like a little long for the big two.
Yeah.
But a skip month, I am a huge advocate for, especially for something like this. That is a great point, Raphael. Thank you.
We hit the 100, so I don't know if you want to get tumbling or...
I can't do that, but I can say thank you so much. You guys are phenomenal. I said the other week that I really wanted that to happen. I can't believe it did today. Of all days, Tyler's not even here. It's not even a full house.
Dang.
So thank you. You guys rock. Yeah, appreciate you. Kale, hit us with another question.
You got it. This one was from Gore Vidal. Criticisms I hear from shops when it comes to Batman and Superman is that they don't want them to kill their adversaries. This comes up in film discussions, and they worry it will spill over into comics. I can see that definitely being a concern in this new age with they're all angry and on edge. You know, Wonder Woman, again, the princess of hell. Superman, you know, who's got a bone to pick. Batman is beefy, so, I mean, listen, an accident's gonna happen. He's carrying a hammer. He's got that big... Oof.
Hell yeah. Yeah, what is up with that, by the way?
It looks rad.
I love it.
That John Henry action. Ooh.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even consider that.
All right,
I
Kale.
see it. I smell
Excited
it.
myself there.
I smell it. Samuel Summers says, I would love for them to release it digitally for free and collectors could buy it at their LCS.
Yeah,
I don't
fuck
know.
those physical collectors.
Yeah, like that's what that feels like to me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not I'm opposed to any idea that amounts to an FU to physical readers. Yeah,
Hmm.
which I feel like that would be that. Um, I've got another point. Don't flood the market with absolute books. Marvel publishes what, 70, 80 books a month.
Damn.
DC's, somewhere in the realm of like 50, 60, something like that. And then they're going to add on absolute. I don't want absolute comics to reach that like 10, 15, 20 mark. I think that's too many books. I think right now we know about what? We know about six. We've got Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman,
Yep.
Green Lantern, Flash. Those are announced. Martian Manhunter is heavily rumored.
Mm.
So unless I'm missing something, those are the six.
I think that's it.
Sounds, yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds
There
right.
hasn't been any Aquaman or anything. There, yeah.
7 to 8 is as far as I would go. And
We're
even 8 is a lot.
We're missing a JLA title, and that's probably pushing it.
Hmm.
Maybe a hot take. I don't know. I don't want a Justice League here, at least not for a long time. I think that if these characters are coming from a place of darkness and this is a wild world, the way that Snyder has sort of described it, I want to stay away from a Justice League because that almost makes it too easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also it doesn't grant the time that we would want otherwise for these characters to interact. Like you need to build up to a Justice League. You need to get that good grace from people before you can just, oh, here's the marquee title. Here's what you were all waiting for. Like that doesn't feel. It feels vapid.
Hmm.
And I think like keeping the books, the volume of books small, I think makes this feel a bit more. Not the right word, but I guess like a little more boutique, if that makes sense. Like it's a little more curated. We're being intentional, so I think that's a good call.
Yeah, I agree. Like intentional. I love that. Is there a point?
Intentional.
Is there a point to this? What's the reason? What's the mission statement? Does it add value? Because a lot of these are going to be books where it's a double dip because there's a mainline version, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm going to read Absolute Green Lantern and Green Lantern, mainline Green Lantern with Jeremy Adams, I need a reason to pick up both.
Yep.
Yeah.
And cost is going to be a huge blocker for that. So I think from that volume piece, make it as initially accessible as possible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Kale, you got another?
Yeah, we got one earlier from our favorite artist, Pete Collins.
Oh, what's up, Pete?
The thing that stands out to me is the dark aesthetic. It's leaning very gritty and moody visually. That's the biggest difference between the Absolute and main universe versions, like a dark universe.
Yeah. And I think that has been spoken about, Josh Williamson and Snyder when they did their video that DC put out. They talked about the motivations behind that and how Darkseid's energy is kind of what builds the Absolute world and universe. And so that visual aesthetic makes a lot of sense. And I'm excited for that aspect of it. I need the books to reflect that in the story and the art. Both elements have to work together to reflect that.
Yeah.
Sorry, just on that, like the dark edginess of it,
Mhm.
is that is that the aesthetic we want? Is that the thing that we want to see in a new universe? Does that not feel, for me it feels a bit overtrodden? Like that edginess and the art there, like
Well, I think that's tough because like if like take Batman. If you go the other way with Batman, you get Adam West,
sure.
you know? It's tough. I think because I think we've gotten, there's 80 years, there's 100 years of these titles, right? Like you're gonna get stuff that's trodden.
Mm.
Yeah, I've seen people saying like, "Oh, Absolute Superman is just a rehash of New 52 Superman." You know what I'm saying? And look, guys, everything's a rehash of everything. You have to sort of get over that, right? Like you're not gonna. What do you want them to do? Um, I don't feel like mainline Superman is dark right now at all. I actually feel like it's extremely fun, you know, and the subject matter isn't too heavy. You know, Batman books have 57 Robins in them, and a whole family. It's a family affair. I think that there is a way to do things that are meaningfully different by going in a different direction. There should not be Robins in the absolute universe, at least not to me. Maybe a Robin,
Okay. Yeah.
but not Robins. They have to go down a different road. Let's see. Pete Collins says, I'm personally fine with that aesthetic, but also the characters need to offer hope. A Superman without hope is not Superman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, a Superman without hope is not Superman, but Man of Steel Superman had hope. His symbol stood for it, remember? But a lot of people said that that didn't resemble Superman to them because, the aesthetic was darker and he was making choices that they disagreed with. And some of that stuff we have to let go because the creators have to be able to take these characters in different directions. I think the North Star should always be the same, but the way in which that's expressed, the characters have to be allowed to do different things. We can't be so beholden to the version that we have in our minds.
I think we have to let them get there.
Yeah.
I think ugh, had Snyder seen his vision through with Man of Steel, we might have gotten there and it might have been good because the iconography that they were working with really paid off.
Yeah.
Like uh Henry Cavill really wanted that real hopeful thing, and like there are stories of like kids walking up to him as Superman and um being enthralled by that. And then there's also that first trailer of Man of Steel, talking about the cape, and how it signified the hope and blah blah blah. Um, that was all there, and I think I think had the studios not gotten in the way, we would have gotten there. It's just that Man of Steel for Snyder had to come first.
Right. I've talked at length, and I might talk again about some of that stuff and how I feel like there wasn't enough time to cook. Uh, but I think that these creators deserve, especially if we're going all in on a new universe. Like, let's give them room.
Yeah. Yeah. Runway.
Yeah, don't prejudge. Um, Robert Kashabak says, "Is the first arc the hero's journey?" Maybe, maybe.
Could be.
It
We'll see.
depends on where each character is coming in from. We don't really know their point of entry.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like, we know that this is a year one of Batman. Okay, sure. But what about Superman? When did his powers develop? What has he been doing since his powers developed? You know, Wonder Woman, what's her deal? There are a lot of questions regarding where these characters are coming in from that we don't have answers to. So we're not quite sure what the first arc needs to be.
And I guess it'll need to be whatever services the larger story in the moment.
Yeah, exactly. My critique says, what if Superman was edgy is so overplayed at this point? We're not talking about edgy. This isn't about edge. I don't think Man of Steel was an edgy movie. I don't think that New 52 Superman was edgy. If you want to talk about edge and darkness, you're looking at Injustice Superman.
Hmm.
I have never seen mainline Superman put his fist through a person. And I don't think we're going to see that in Absolute.
What's that horror Superman with that Elizabeth Banks did? Was it Brightburn?
Brightburn, yeah.
Yeah, that's edgy.
Right, exactly. Like there are a lot of knockoffs, you know, the Omni-Man and all that Homelander, but that's not DC putting that out. So DC shouldn't be held to account for that type of stuff. I don't think that they're going down an edgy road here.
Hmm.
Atomic Hound with the 9.99. Thanks, Hound. What Earth Zero character first discovers the existence of Absolute Earth? I'm going with Flash as an homage to the Silver Age. Great show as always. Thanks, Hound. Really appreciate you. Love you, man. We have 105 people with us right now. Atomic Hound has been with us since there were like 5 people.
Hell yeah.
And that was only a year ago. So thank you all. I just can't get over the number. Like I'm keeping my composure, but I'm really giddy inside. To answer Atomic Hound's question, though, I think Flash is the answer. I think Flash is always that person. He was the one who, Flashpoint kind of bled into the New 52. He was the guy, him and Batman were the ones who discovered the button that led into Rebirth. So I really think, and then going as far back as Crisis on Two Earths, it has to be the Flash.
Yeah.
Well, if Darkseid is gonna be a big player here, my thought was, why don't we, especially since it's gonna be a new universe, why don't we move away from the Flash stuff, which is familiar, and go up, go a little more cosmic. I especially with the New Gods book that's coming out, I could see a through line of the Darkseid pieces with the New Gods coming from the All In front, and that maybe laying some seeds for a foundation of the crossover between the two universes.
Let me counter that with the Flash title that we know about is Wally West sort of being haunted by, I don't know, what we assume are like speed ghosts or whatever. So like it could be people like Max Mercury who died and went into the Speed Force, and it's people who are sort of from the past or people that get lost in the Speed Force. I wonder, and just coming up with that, I could see like our Barry getting lost, and because this wouldn't be the first time this has happened, gets lost and wakes up on another Earth, and or as a ghost in another Earth, or gets dissolved into the Speed Force, and now he's guiding another Wally to be the Flash that the world needs. God, I'm so good at this.
I love that. DC has no plans for Barry right now, obviously. So making him that makes a lot of sense to me. MJ Looney with the 5 says, Absolute Batman's premise sounds like Darren Aronofsky's scrap Batman film concept, where he's raised by a mechanic called Al and is poor.
Wild.
I got to look into that because I probably have seen that, floating around at some point or another, but I've never done a deep dive into that. So I want to look into that. I love those kinds of like what could have been movie concepts or, things like that. We've all heard of like George Miller's Batman
Superman.
or Justice League movie.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Justice League Mortal. Yeah, I mean, it does sound a lot similar to that. You're absolutely right. I wonder if there was some inspiration there. Silhouette says you guys need to bring back Al Ewing to talk about everything, including Absolute Justice League.
Damn. Okay.
Stay tuned.
Oh,
Alter, I think. Who do you guys think they will choose to be? Or sorry, I can't. Why can't I read this? There's a
as
stupid
a Flash. Well, they
as
The
the
emoji
Flash
thing, right? You
Yeah,
can't see
yeah.
it.
Yep. Who do you guys think they will choose as the Flash? Will they go Barry or do they go straight to Wally? Well, we know it's Wally.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know it's Wally. So, and it's like a kid Wally too, like a high school. It looked like maybe a high school age or something like that. So,
whoa.
Teen Wally.
yeah. Leonard Pig says Batman with an axe reminds me of how John Henry Irons became Bat influenced in Kingdom Come. Huh.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's one of those. In the back of Kingdom Come, they give you a map of all the characters that are in it based on Alex Ross's covers, and they give you just a snippet, teeniest snippet of the context in the story. Yeah, that rules.
Okay. I've got another point. And this might be controversial, but this is what I believe. Don't pull the trigger on the inevitable Absolute Crisis until Absolute is over.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep.
I think initiatives like this always have some kind of an end date. Or eventually they end, right? They're not going to have two universes existing concurrently forever. Now, it could be 10 years. The original Ultimate Universe got what, a little over 10 years. No, well, it got a lot more than that. To be fair, before it was destroyed by Secret Wars. So it definitely got more than that. But let's say Absolute's getting 5 years. If it's getting 5 years, save Absolute Crisis for 5 years.
Yep.
If it's getting 10 years, save Absolute Crisis for 10 years. Let that be a concept that you keep behind glass, that you break when it's time to finish things off.
I'm gonna go one step further. 5 years, year 6. 10 years, you're 11. Let the stories play out, and then the next year, what's that? Oh, the sound of glass breaking. Oh, Absolute Crisis. Whoa! I can't believe all these characters are back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely agreed with letting the things play out so that you can isolate the crisis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and make it feel big, make it feel huge. Let there be consequences. If the end of the crisis sees the absolute characters go away, that'll feel meaningful.
Yeah.
How
do they deal with that? Their universe gets chosen over, or another universe gets chosen over theirs or some shit. The stakes there.
Yeah, totally. Aaron Ruiz, stop it. Stop it.
Yeah.
He said Absolute Crisis written by Jeff Loeb. Let him do an ultimatum to DC. Are you fucking crazy? We've got all these good ideas coming, and then you drop that stinker on us? Don't you remember what happened the last time?
How many kids can... No, I'm not going to say that. Silhouette said, bro, I'm sorry to say, but we're going to get an event in 2 years. They keep mentioning a 2-year plan.
A 2-year plan for what, though?
Right.
We don't know what that means. It ain't 2 years to the end of Absolute, right? Because that would just be...
why
are
at that
we
point?
even doing this?
Yeah.
Is it a 2-year... Go ahead.
Maybe it's just a 2-year plan for, the first arc.
Right.
Maybe in 2 years, that's when we finally see, the Justice League title.
Yeah, exactly. There are a lot of things that could happen before we get to, the inevitable Absolute Crisis.
Yeah.
And I think they should milk it for all it's worth and tell all the stories that they can that are meaningful before they pull the plug or go down that road. Also, let this be a playground, largely for the creators who represent the next big thing in comics. stories.
Mm.
Yeah, we've got Jason Aaron, we've got Scott Snyder. They're stewarding this. But everybody else should be the next generation after them. Because to me, this is about what's new and fresh,
Mm.
not what's old. And Snyder and Aaron love them to death, but they're old. They were here during the new 52, which was the same thing. The new 52 was all about fresh and new, and this should feel like that for a new era and generation. So people like Kelly Thompson, people like Dennis Camp, you know, Al Ewing isn't really new guard, but I'll include him in that anyway. You know, Dennis Camp, they should be the ones who are really the drivers of these stories. And when Snyder and Aaron's time is up, bring new people in. Don't
Yep.
go the Mark Wade way. I love Mark Wade. Let him play in Mainline. Let Philip Kennedy Johnson come around and do some stuff here. The aforementioned Stephanie Phillips.
Rom B.
Don't even talk about Rom V.
Oh shit.
We're going to get into Rom V. We're going to get into Rom. But yeah, these creators should be the ones at the forefront. Let me see some new artistic names, too. Hayden Sherman. I love that Hayden is a part of this. Keep that up. Where's Nicholas Draper Ivy at?
Word.
Give him a bag.
Absolute static. Come on. I'll take it.
That'd
Hell
be
yeah.
Cool as fuck.
Absolutely.
Haha.
I got to stop saying that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jose says Hickman started in the 2000s with Ultimate Thor and he went up from that. Let unknown writers and artists play with the absolute characters. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying.
So let Hickman come in 2 years and do Absolute Teen Titans. Absolute Legion.
Oh.
Absolutely not. Let Hickman come in 2 years and do Mainline Legion. That's where he belongs.
It's not that much difference, to be honest.
Well, I don't know.
I'll take it either way. I'm not. I won't be picky.
Give me a Legion book.
That's right.
Pete Collins says, I volunteer my services for Absolute Animal Man. Well, listen, Pete, stake your claim right now. We already said at the top of the show, DC is listening to this. So, DC, get Pete Collins. Get PC. Let's go.
There it is.
Get him in the mix. I'd love that. If you guys don't know, Pete Collins is the artist behind the Bardic Verses. So he's a real artist. He's a real boy. And yeah, he should get. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see him get the big job. Triple Ho says Mark Waid is on the original Absolute. He was on Kingdom Come.
Yo.
Kingdom Come was hot, man, but that was in the 90s, brother. We've moved a long way past that, you know? The last point that I wrote down, that doesn't mean this conversation has to end, but it's the last one I wrote down, is in all caps. You know what I'm about to say, and I want to see it in the chat after I say it. Let Rom cook. We know what it is. Rom V, New Gods. Let that be the centerpiece of this whole thing. Let the biggest things that happen that matter to both Absolute and Mainline happen in New Gods. Let it happen through Rom V. That's what I want to see. Let it happen through Rom and Evan Cagle.
Yeah.
It feels like we have that book to act as the tether point between the two universes. And if that's the case, it can't just be, oh, hey, the New Gods have a book. That's great. No, it has to be huge. It has to be epic. It has to feel larger than life. And Rom can deliver that. Shit. Maybe when it's time for the Absolute Crisis, maybe it should be Rom that tells that story.
Oh, there it is. Close it out.
His first event.
That's on the bingo card somewhere.
Not just his first event, his event.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be amazing. Just granting him the the time for all of these things. Just give them the time.
Give
Make
them
it
a company card.
yeah, make it a fair shot, so that we can see development over the 2 3 years, whatever it might be, right? So that way there's weight, there's value from ROM.
100%. This is DC's best chance to compete with Marvel Comics, which realistically, I don't think that anything they can do is going to upend the status quo, which is that Marvel shits on DC every month. I think the first few months, DC will definitely occupy more spots in the top 10 and 20 than usual. But this would have to be extremely hot to really compete on that front. But it's their best chance to compete with Energon, who are trying to go for everything.
Yeah.
And we know G.I. Joe #1 is coming. I believe they said January. So that's on the horizon. That's going to be huge. And I'm sure they have more things on the, in the pipeline. So this is DC's best chance to say, hey, maybe all we are is #2, but we are #2. And we're a strong one at that. Between Compact Comics, Absolute, and an all-in initiative that looks to be DC's biggest and best attempt in the last decade to put everybody forward with their best stories, this has to work.
Yeah.
It has to work. It can't feel phoned in. To be fair, it doesn't to this point, but it can't feel like that.
And I think from that sales perspective, right, that's a huge piece, because you're right. It feels like Energon's trying to. Image has the third place slot for publishers, but it feels like there's enough confidence there to make the fight for #2, or at the very least claw a good percentage of market share. And DC's always been behind from that perspective, and so if you can gather more space for that, then from a business perspective, I mean, you can flourish a bit more. Maybe you have more room for more titles, or better curated titles, because you can bring on different talent.
Exactly. It's more so Absolute is more jobs for creators theoretically, because these are books that that wouldn't exist if otherwise.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity for those creators to tell their best stories with characters who oftentimes feel shackled by continuity. That's the whole reason why the New 52 happened in the first place. And instead of just saying screw you to everybody who's been loyal to DC for all these years, they're saying, all right, we're going to have our cake and eat it too. We're going to have Mainline, and we're going to have Absolute. Both can work, but it's going to take a lot of work on DC's part to make that happen. I'm confident. I really am.
Yeah, confident and excited.
Yeah. Owen Harrison says, we have to hope for the best, but what if these new changes don't work? If Absolute doesn't work, then that's code red. That's really bad.
With who is on board, with who they want to lead with, yeah. If it doesn't land, they're out, creator dollars, they're out marketing dollars, they're out. It'll impact, I think, even Mainline at that point, the all-in stuff too, because you by osmosis. Oh yeah, that the Absolute stuff was kind of like whatever. I don't even know if I want to be reading the DC things. It's bad press.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a good look.
And I think it depends on how, a lot of that depends on their confidence in it as well. If editorial, or forget editorial, if the suits come in and start shoving their weight around, we're gonna get an absolute crisis in a year, and then that's how you'll know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It'll depend on when they break the glass. We will know what the status is by how DC proceeds in the aftermath of the first year or so of Absolute books. Someone asked, "What has Romv done?" I can't find the comment.
That was Leonard
Leonard
Pig.
Pig.
Yeah.
Leonard Pig. So Romv has done a lot. If you only care about DC and Marvel books, Rom worked on Carnage for Marvel, which was really good. He worked on what's it called? Venom with Al Ewing, and that collaboration was incredible. Venom is one of the best books Marvel's put out in the last 5 years.
Yep.
Specifically those two on Venom. DC side of things, he did some Justice League Dark. The backups in, I think it was the backups in Mainline Justice League, which were insanely good. I love that book. His Catwoman book was excellent as well. Detective Comics is ongoing right now, although it's nearing its end, and that's been great. So just in the big two space, Romv has done a lot of really good work. If you extend outside of that, I mean, my God, please.
He also made what was the team he made?
The Vigil,
which
was excellent.
Yeah. And then that's not even counting like his indie stuff, which really shines.
Yeah. Phenomenal.
Yep. Many Deaths of Lila Starr is always the recommendation, but you really kind of can't go wrong with
and
Romv.
the Swamp Thing. How do we forget the Swamp?
Oh yeah,
Thing?
yeah.
Marco.
My fault.
Yep. Rare Flavors, Dawn Runner. Yeah,
Yep.
Romv is that guy right now.
Yep.
One of those guys. Mr. Negative says it only does well if they can convince fans it'll be here for the long term.
I didn't write that.
I'm a big fan of the Mr. Negative character.
Thanks.
Should get a movie. But yeah, I think that's valid. Like, one of the things I learned recently in some research for something I'm working on is that in the olden days, comic book readers wouldn't take a chance on a book that was just starting up. So a new #1 was not actually a good thing. Those early issues, those first like 6 issues wouldn't sell.
That's wild.
It was only if the book would go on to have, get into like the 10s and, beyond, where readers would start to say, oh, there's something to this. And then, of course, you get into word of mouth, but we're in the days prior to the direct market. So you weren't standing around the grocery store waiting for someone to come around to the comics rack to say, hey, are you reading Shazam #3? This stuff is great. That wasn't really happening. So longevity was the biggest sign that the book was worth reading. Nowadays, it's the opposite. But if Absolute can sustain itself, then that will say, oh, snap, okay, Absolute Flash is still in the top 50 sales, and it's in its 10th, 12th issue, and it's good. People are saying it's good. All right, I'll jump on board. These books will need room to grow, is what I'm saying. We have to give them the space. Leatrix says, I have a Black Lagoon anthology Romv's got a story in for ordered while listening to the interview. That's awesome. And waiting on one of his that's supposedly about jazz. Blue and Green, yeah.
Pretty good.
Still got to read that. I have it. I haven't read it.
Anand on art, I think, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Mr. Knickerbocker says, okay, sorry, I just got here. Did they do something with Constantine? Not yet.
Don't think so.
Nope.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if we got an Absolute Constantine book, but I would be very surprised also if we didn't see that character at all.
Yeah. Yeah, he feels like too much. Well, but he's in like the magic space. I don't know that there's a magic book out. I guess maybe Wonder Woman, like in the hell and all that kind of stuff, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see where he fits in if he plugs in.
Dan says, go ahead. Sorry, Gil.
Legatus Vaith just said, don't give Absolute a Night Terrors event on issue 3. Wise advice.
Yeah.
that's the worst possible outcome. There better not be an absolute night terrors, or I'm gonna have to book a flight. I'm gonna have to crash out. If there's an absolute night terrors, I'm crashing out. You want to see Sean and R? That'll do it.
Yo.
That will do it. Spiral Storm, yes, Ramvi did do Catwoman. I don't remember the issues necessarily, but he had a decent run, and it was prior to the current Teeny Howard run.
stuff. Yeah.
So yeah,
Didn't he start? Didn't he launch that?
launch
Well,
Catwoman.
Teeny
I don't
How-
think so.
Teeny Howard launched Teeny Howard's.
Oh.
I don't remember if he launched the book or not, but I don't think he did. Absolute Invasion, Dan, you're nuts.
Yo.
Invasion of Absolute Night Terrorist Crisis. I'm done, Izzy. I'm done. We can't. I can't.
My critiques asked, do you think any absolute runs will outsell their mainline counterparts?
Of course.
I could see Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I could see Wonder Woman because I think she's a different enough change to what Wonder Woman is mainline, and that's not even like Tom King hate, although I'm absolutely full of that. This is just like this Wonder Woman is different, and I think that could really sell.
They're all going to outsell their counterparts. Issue 1 of all 3, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, will outsell issue 10,000 or 10,000, 1,000 XXX of Batman and Superman and whatever number Wonder Woman is at that point.
Yeah.
It's not about what happens in the first issue, 2, 3. It's how are these books selling year 1, year 2, year 3. And that's going to be a huge teller. Is Absolute Batman going to outsell mainline Batman in the long run? I think based on the way people feel about what Chip is doing and the way people feel about what Snyder did on Batman, I would say the answer is a clear yes. There hasn't been a run on Batman that has been better received in the last decade than what Scott Snyder did.
Now he's back. He's back at the helm.
Arguably, that run has more fans than Grant's did. Court of Owls, Endgame, Death of the like those are major hits. So yes, I believe that will outsell Batman for the run, if it's good. Let's answer a question that I saw earlier. I think it was from Always Laughing, who asked, which of the Absolute books are we most excited?
Oh, Wonder Woman, easily.
I think at the moment Wonder Woman and Green Lantern.
Oh yeah.
A little bit of the Flash. Pretty much, I'm excited for just about everything that's not Superman and Batman.
I need to see that Batman, boy. I got to get my hands on that book. That Bat Brick, I need that.
Pet brick.
And that's not even talking about the hammer.
No, the guy.
The hammer's his penis.
Wait, he's got spikes on that thing?
So,
He's like a cat. Yeah.
Ooh. No, I mean, for me, it's definitely Absolute Batman, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern. Green Lantern because Al Ewing is on it, more than anything.
yeah.
Wonder Woman for the concept, and obviously the creative team is bonkers. And Absolute Batman because come the fuck on. Have you seen the Nick Dragotta art? Have you seen those pages? Have you seen those thighs? Have you seen Absolute Batman's thighs? Do you know what that man is gonna do to people with them thighs?
Thunder thighs, bro.
What I wish Absolute Wonder Woman would do to me with those thighs.
I have dreams about Big Barda doing that to me with them thighs. All right,
Whoa.
Wearing her half gloves.
there you go. Comics are dope. Says spikes for her pleasure. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Fat thighs save lives.
Oh my goodness, they do, and they're probably gonna end a couple of lives too when we get
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah. Snap a neck here and there.
Absolute rectangle man.
Yeah, you know what? I think the logo that new logo's grown on me. The the more rectangular, just kind of like lines denoting the ears and the
The
wingtips.
saw.
Yeah.
It's nuts. I love it. When I saw the leaked version that came out of Bleeding Cool, I was like, eh. But now that I've seen it more and in color and stuff, I think it's sick. Everybody's so angry. People are so angry that they're hitting up James Gunn and saying, what's up with this new logo? We need to get rid of this. And James Gunn is like, that's not even my department, dude.
I don't work here.
Like, please, come on, man. Let the book come out. Read the book. Don't prejudge. And I say that, and I know I'm a hypocrite because I definitely had negative thoughts about the From the Ashes X books before they came out. So I'll take my lumps on that. But I bought them. I'm reading them. I'm reviewing them on PalsVerse. They're all in my stack. I'm giving them all 6 issues. So I advocate letting creators cook. Give them a chance. What else? We got a question from Triple Ho, who said, did you guys not read Supergirl, Mr. Miracle, Strange Adventures, Human Target, Helen of Windhorn? I loved all of those, actually, except for the last one.
We're also talking about the current writer of Wonder Woman. We're also talking about the writer of Heroes in Crisis. We're also talking about what was the other one we didn't like?
Jenny Sparks.
Jenny Sparks.
Oh yeah.
It's uneven.
Yeah, he's not flawless. That's not to say he's not good. Not
Look,
everybody bats 100.
exactly. Tom King is clearly, obviously, one of the most talented creators in comics. No one is saying no. It's just that, right now, at this moment in time, the current crop of books isn't lighting me on fire. But for some reason, whenever we say that, it's like we're hating on Tom King. The guy's not a fucking saint. He's a guy. He's a great guy who does great stories, but it's okay to criticize every now and then.
Triple Ho says, let Jenny cook.
No, she can cook all she wants. I'm going to a different restaurant.
Yeah. I can't do it. I can't do it. Silhouette said nobody is excited for Superman. I mean, I am, though. I am. It's just that my hype level is not as high for that as the other books. But,
Yeah.
I want to read it.
I kind of think Jason Aaron has a little bit less heat on him since his Marvel stuff. I think people are looking at his Thor stuff with rose-colored glasses in respect to the fact that was good, and then this Ninja Turtles #1 sold really high, but we haven't seen #2. Nobody's seen the order numbers for #2. They're not. I would bet they're not getting those 300K numbers on #2.
Well, okay, yeah, sure, but what is?
That's my point.
But if it does half that,
But if it's that good, why wouldn't they?
because that's just not how comics work. Like I bought
If it's
2
good.
covers. I bought 2 covers. I ain't buying 2 covers of issue 2, Kale.
Well, maybe you should.
I will
Why don't
not
you support the industry for once, Sean?
Hold on, because I still got it next to me. This is my stack from the last week. What was this, 18, and I
Pitiful.
missed 3? Don't fuck with me.
Pitiful.
Don't fuck with me.
Minimal.
Guy doesn't even have Ninja Turtles #2 in there.
Michael Nadeau said, I almost said Michael Trudeau. Michael Nadeau says, if I saw absolute Batman, I would just give up crime. Yo, I completely agree with that. My hands are up. That's how I felt. That's how I always felt about the Dark Knight. Like the Dark Knight Returns. Like I'm not
Yeah.
fucking with that guy. You're too
Yeah.
thick for me. You want me to stop? I'll stop. Don't hit me.
I go to church. Forget it.
Whatever you want me to do. Whatever you want me to do. I'll walk myself to Arkham.
Yep.
Whatever you need. I'll give you my wallet. You want to rob me? That's fine. Whatever you need. Because this Batman is a working class guy. This Batman's poor. He grew up in Crime Alley. Yo, you want my wallet? Have at it.
Yo,
Whatever you need.
Batman just swings down. He's like, all right, run those pockets.
Yep. You
Yeah.
want my wallet, my girl? Listen, you can have it, bro.
Yeah.
I just want to make it out of this alive.
Hey, nice shoes. They my size?
No problem. I'll walk through Crime Alley, and I know there's all kinds of like broken needles and vials and shit. I'll walk bare feet through that because whatever I'm gonna catch from that is better to deal with than absolute Batman.
Then
You
catching
got
his
it.
hands.
Yeah, I ain't catching them hands.
Because you won't. Or you will once.
Yep, exactly. Spiral Storm said, "Buy every single comic series on the shelf, Sean." Listen, the way
Yes.
you guys have been showing up for us the last few months, and the way the Patreon is busting, it might be possible. Once or twice. Marvel's putting out 80 books a month. Ain't nobody keeping up with that. Who could beat that time?
Y'all ain't paying us enough for that. We gotta split these checks evenly.
I want to meet the man who's buying all of Marvel's output every month. That's nuts.
That'd be wild. I can't even imagine that. What do you
Do you
do?
think- Do you think that's somebody that hates comics to a certain degree?
Like they're just,
just
buying
like-
it?
Yeah. I don't even like this stuff anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're in our comments section of the most recent videos we've been dropping.
There you go.
Fucking idiots. Find something else to do.
Respectfully.
Disrespectfully, with all disrespect.
Listen, they're in our comments.
Fuck them. I like the good people. I like the people that show up live. I don't like the people that. Let's not even. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Nope.
Oh. I'm hot today. Trust me.
Girl, you're hot every day.
Thank you.
Yo, Kale, you've been getting shout outs for that hair.
Damn, dog, I know. Oh, one haircut, a different haircut for once in my life. People
Yeah.
are all crazy.
You always get the little like.
Yeah.
How can we monetize that?
I guess my hair's gotta get its own podcast.
Get ready with me, Kale edition.
Izzy's
Oh, you-
issue
you
says.
want that.
Sorry, go ahead. He says, but Sean, Hound is already here. Yeah, but Hound does it for DC. And he won't show it off, but because I need to see the kennel. I need to see the Hound cave. I need to see it because what gems? Like I believe that like Jeff Johns, Jim Lee, people like that have insane collections of comics. But I would put Atomic Hound in that conversation.
The Doghouse of Solitude.
Yeah. Oh.
The kennel.
Oh, comics are dope. I'm fucking with you. He said, I like comments with the melodies. I don't like comments when they act tough. If you don't get that, then you're not like us. That's all I'm going to say.
Damn.
Douchebag said, I know this is off topic, but is there a way that I can buy and read the stories of the Icon comic? You mean like Icon and Rocket from Milestone, or?
There are 4 omnibus, I think I've heard, with the 5th one coming out of the Milestone stuff, as I recall. And I think that's where all of that is.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully that answers your question, if that's what you were referring to. Uncanny Suit says, you don't have to call me an idiot in front of everybody, Sean. Never you. Never you. But you know what sucks? The idiots never know who they are. The ones who aren't idiots, you guys know who you are because we mess with you. We love you guys. You guys are great.
If you had the thought, wait, is he talking about me? We're not talking about you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
If you use words like woke and DEI in your everyday vernacular, then I'm probably talking about you.
Emphasis on your everyday vernacular.
Yeah. Phantom Flame says, have they explained who new Superwoman is for Absolute Superman? I feel like whatever she is, if Superman is meant to be more alien this time around, she exists to teach him humanity. As far as I'm aware, the Superwoman is debuting in All In the Superman section of mainline DC, and it's Lois Lane. That's not an absolute thing.
Yeah.
Comics Are Dope says 3 milestone compendiums out, forthcoming next February. One more would complete the run. Here's to hoping. They better complete the run. They need to complete the run.
Have you seen all the announcements they've been doing for it's like DC's finest or something? They're going crazy with that stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love it.
Absolutely.
I gotta stop saying that. Jesus.
It's there. It's in the branding.
My critiques, no absolute Waller. No. And I'm not even a hater of Amanda Waller. I'm happy with what they've been doing with her. But like after this, she gotta go. She gotta be on ice. She needs a break.
Yeah.
Not forever, but a break. Not a break up. Just some time away.
We'll see her in the films, and that'll be enough.
Uncanny Suit said absolute Amanda Waller better be thick. I'm with you if you're gonna do it. If you're gonna do it.
With the 2 C's.
She gotta be thicker than Batman.
They tried. They try at some point to like take her thickness away. I feel like
in the New 52, and then that sort of translated over into Arrow.
Right.
But then it was like, no. The people didn't want that.
Yeah, I don't want that. Amanda Waller, that's a big woman, and we're here for that. That's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Neighborhood Merc said, not sure if this question was already answered, but what character do you all think follows Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman in the all in line with their own book? Well, we know about 6. Or 5. No. We know about 6. Yeah, we already know about 6 books. We know the 3 you just said, and we know about Green Lantern, Flash, and, well, this one's a rumor, but Martian Manhunter by Dennis Camp. So.
If you had one more to add to that.
It's a good question.
See, okay. Are we talking realistically, or are we talking like wish list?
Realistically.
I think it's got to be someone who could reasonably fit into a league picture.
I was thinking Aquaman.
Yep. PKJ is Aquaman. There it is.
Oh.
PKJ has said multiple times that he wants to do some Aquaman stuff, although I kind of want to see him do mainline Aquaman because of Olgren. And imagine, oh my God. So for those of you who don't know, Olgren is a, you're welcome. You should know though. You read, anyway. Olgren is an old god, the first god, according to PKJ, and this is a lore that he's been seeding across his books. So in his Action Comics run, we got, I believe it was our first glimpse of Olgren, and Superman was kind of on a quest, and he had to fight against the essence of Olgren or the shade of Olgren or whatever that was. And then we see that continuing on in Green Lantern War Journal. So I was thinking that it would be really cool if he could continue that story with Aquaman and maybe go into the depths and learn about a Cthulhu-esque type of creature that is a part of Olgren or protecting an essence piece of Olgren or something like that. It feels like a very fantasy, the Last God-esque kind of quest. And so I want to see that play out in mainline, but if that's not going to happen, then I would love to see him tackle Absolute.
That could be sort of that part of like the dark side connection to bridge the 2 universes.
Oh yeah,
as well.
Yeah.
Like that. Cole says Absolute Adam, and I thought we were talking realistic, but you know what? I'm fucking here for that. Silhouette says, guys, let's keep it realistic. No Aquaman.
Nah, dude. Come on. Where's the Aquaman love?
Realism. You've got to go for the realism. Use your 2024 brain. No Aquaman.
You know what, man? I'm sort of struggling with this. Like, I don't want to throw names out just for the sake of it, because I think most of those won't happen. But like, shit, I would love to see Firestorm. Where's he at?
Yeah.
An absolute Firestorm?
Yeah.
I would love it.
Huh.
Is it realistic? No, it won't happen. That's why I didn't just want to throw names out there. But if you ask me, what do I want? Firestorm.
Yeah, see, I would say like Teen Titans, but like, where's that gonna come from?
Right. What are they inspired by? Why are they doing this?
Yeah.
Triple Ho says it'll end up being absolute Harley Quinn.
Ah, no, stop, please. Don't hurt me like that. I got nothing against Harley Quinn, but, no.
I mean, ain't for either.
Right. Like, what about Absolute Hawk Girl?
Yeah.
Or Absolute, like, Hawkman and Hawk Girl in the same book. Like I don't know what you would call that, but
Absolute Hawks.
yeah.
Absolute Thanagarians.
Mike Ratique says, do you think any characters in DC are pushed too hard? For me, it's Harley Quinn. Never liked her as an anti-hero. Also the Joker, to a lesser extent. I mean, most people would probably say Batman. I disagree. Pushed too hard? I think characters are pushed appropriately. Like, Harley Quinn has earned her spot due to the massive amounts of money that DC is able to make by selling Harley Quinn stuff. So if people want to buy it, then it's not too hard. It's too hard when people don't want to buy it.
Yeah.
Cosmo says, Dennis Camp Martian Manhunter has been stuck in my head for a while. Hell yeah. Dennis Camp is my favorite, like, newcomer right now. No doubt. What's it called? Absolute or Ultimates is my favorite Marvel book.
Yeah.
Easily. It might be my favorite. No, it's my favorite comic right now.
The Ultimate?
I don't think there's anything better than that. Yeah, Ultimates. I kind of, like, to be honest with you guys, like, I'm more of a Marvel guy. You know that. I kind of, like, feel precious about Dennis Camp now. I'm like, whoa, hold on. What you mean he's going to do something for DC?
Why is he over there?
I think my thing is, like, the stuff he's doing in Ultimates, to me, is strictly the way I feel. What he's doing in Ultimates feels like what Mark Russell wants to be doing in his titles.
Damn. I get it. Although I think Mark Russell likes to be a little more satirical and tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair. Yeah, it's just not for, again. It's just not for me. But I like the way Dennis Camp did it in Ultimates 1. I think for me that landed better, and it used the story to send an impactful, or to emphasize an impactful theme.
Yeah. Alexander Bruno with an interesting comment. It seems to me like the Absolute books are who Darkseid hates the most, the Justice League, since his energy or whatever that tease means creates the universe. Could there be something to that? Because, I mean, like, the books as announced are just characters that make sense to have comics, right?
Yeah.
But could there be something to that idea? Like, could we ever see, for example, an Absolute Joker book?
Oh, no. That would immediately, for me, diminish what this initiative is. You're going and you're picking a character. That's where it feels like you're picking a character because you think Joker's gonna sell something, and people like that, and so we're gonna just slap that on as a book. That does not read as well thought out. That reads as cash grab, and diminishes what the worth of the Absolute comics would be.
Yeah, I'm completely with you on that. Okay, so as we wrap this conversation, the show's not over by any means, but as we close this particular conversation, what I want is a poll, Marco, for are they, the listeners, excited for Absolute? Are you into this?
All in.
Are you all
Absolute?
in? Yes. And also, chat, if you want to go the extra mile, what do you think that DC must do in order for this to be a success? Remember, DC is watching. That's not necessarily true. But DC is watching, so let them know what you want. Let them know what you want. Cosmo says, I feel like since Mainline is expanding into a massive Justice League Unlimited, the Absolute Universe will focus on the original seven to deconstruct them specifically. Huh.
I like that.
I like that
I
a
like
lot.
that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good it's a really
I
good point,
think
Cosmo.
I think with the Justice League Unlimited concept, it's similar to the animated show. It's to sort of grow and uh, reform what it means to be a Justice League um, to everyone in the universe. Whereas with these characters, we, you know, with the idea of them eventually making a Justice League,
Mhm.
we can see like what sort of itemized pieces can make a Justice League and what it can take to form that even through the forge of Darkseid's influence.
So, Kale, if that's the case, then who would be the seventh person?
I could
Based on that logic,
Superman, Batman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Flash,
Martian Manhunter.
and Martian Manhunter, of course. I could see it being a new god. Mr. Miracle makes a lot of sense. Orion also makes a lot of sense.
But don't they? Isn't there a thing where they exist across all space and time? There's only one
I
version
guess
of
so,
each.
yeah. Okay. Then Firestorm makes a lot of sense, given that he can rearrange things on a molecular level. I also think Captain Atom might be an interesting one for that same reason.
How about Shazam?
Take the magic route, yeah. You've got Wonder Woman coming at it from the Greek myth side. Shazam could tackle just about everybody else, you know? That makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense, yeah. Dr. Fate.
Atomic Hound said, "There's a better chance I will eat my young than miss these books."
Yeah.
Do we know if Hound has kids?
We don't. Yeah, I don't know that I've ever heard an answer to that. Phantom Flame with the comment that I am all about. Heck yeah, I think this is the first time I've got to start from something like this.
Nice.
I love that so, so much because I'll never forget how I felt when the new 52 was launching. At that point, I was a baby in comics. I was just, maybe 5, 6 years into my run. DC, I was a baby. I had only read Batman, Limited Superman by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank, and Final Crisis. And so when New 52 came around, it was the most exciting thing because I was like, I get to be here at the ground floor of something brand new. How often does this come around? It may never happen again. I can't wait. Now, of course, here we are 10 years later. It's happening again. But for you, this is it. And I'm so happy for you. I love that this is your moment. I really hope you enjoy it. And I encourage you to go all in. New 52, I went nuts. I might have bought every single number one, all 52 of them things,
Damn.
because of how excited I was for this opportunity. And I think that we should all approach it like that. Don't be jaded, guys. Like, we talked about what DC must do, but here's what you must do as a fan. Approach this with fresh eyes. Give it a chance. Be open minded. Yes, it's Jason Aaron. Yes, it's Scott Snyder. But let them cook. Give them a chance to show you what they've been working on, and maybe you'll be surprised. Approach it like you are a baby to comics. Yeah, you, Atomic Hound. You, Dan Trudeau. You, Leatrix. You, Aaron Ruiz. You guys are babies. Be a baby. Be a comics baby. And go into this without the jadedness of someone who has been around the block, and let it all be new. Let it wash over you. Take it all in and enjoy. Because this is rare. We should all be excited. If you're not, that's totally okay. And I get it. Everybody's at a different place. But I just think this is such a special opportunity and a great moment for us to go all in as DC goes all in with us.
And,
I'm hyped.
And you can do it all that in good faith because it's on the ground. You're starting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's time enough for the negativity.
Yeah.
That will come. Certainly. Because it always does. But let's not do that yet. Let's give it some time. I'm giving them all 6 issues. Are you guys on that train?
6 issues?
Yeah. An arc.
I mean, yeah, for sure.
I'll see what the first issue does. I'm a much harsher critic than Sean is.
Are you? I think I just give things a longer rope.
I would argue that makes me a harsher critic.
Okay, fair enough. Well, Kale, I hate to break it to you, but you are on Pal's Pools, so we are.
So yes, I will be giving it an arc, but not my choice.
Oh my goodness! Look at these comments rolling in. Aaron Ruiz says, "Baby, I'm gonna make a tantrum when the Absolute Watchman is announced." That's when we burn it down. That's when we burn it down. That's when we're Seth Rollins in this motherfucker, because that is third rail. Seth Rollins a wrestler. That's third rail. You don't do that. That's disrespectful to me. And I'm the guy that says, hey, before Watchmen, Doomsday Clock, Watchmen TV show, all that's acceptable. But Absolute Watchmen, that's just like, you don't need to do that. That's like, you just don't give a fuck at that point.
Yeah. That's even we say a lot about, like, whether or not DC spitting on Alan Moore. We could probably argue about that at that point.
Well, what if Dr. Manhattan becomes an integral part? Like, he's the one that makes the initial DC universe and all that, right?
Red flag, Marco. Red flag.
Full integration.
No, stop it.
I'm gonna close this poll because we have a decidedly one. At hell yeah. Are you all in with the Absolute Universe? 62%. I added, for people who might not be sure, a bit wary, 30%. And it's only 7% at I'm not interested.
Okay. And if you're not interested, are you just a Marvel? Are you just a Marvel? Are you an Image guy person?
Well, we got Ray Mescalado, who popped up right as the poll closed. That I must admit, this does not interest me. But the enthusiasm of all you guys make me feel good about his prospects.
Well, Ray, you're a regular listener to us. So I would say for you and the type of person like you, listen to Pal's Pulse. When these books come out, listen to what we have to say. If you trust us, and maybe it's not us, whatever comics reviewers you trust, listen to them. And if they say, hey, this is great stuff, maybe go to the shop and pick it up. Maybe give it a try. Couldn't hurt. $5, or $4 for one of these. What's the harm?
Comics are worth your time.
And money. Syl Stevenson says, I totally get you, but this is also cult talk. What cult? I'm not, look, I'm just saying, give it a shot. That's all. If you don't like it, drop it, but give it a shot.
And after you give it a shot, make sure you sign up for afternoon meditation. We're going to be doing some drinks. We're going to do a mixer, so definitely come through for that.
That's all. That's Marco. I don't co-sign. I'm not mixing nothing. Dan Trudeau says, that's very much the spirit I'm going into with comics these days. You guys in the community have been a big part of me getting that feeling back, so thank you. You're very welcome. And I just feel like, everybody is so ready to jump the gun and be negative. But what if we did the other thing? What if we tried a different way? DC's trying a different way, so why don't we try different? Not that being positive and trying to be optimistic is different for this podcast, but I'm just talking about all of us collectively as a community, outside of our walls. Like, we should all try this out. Robert Kashabak makes a great point. We're in a great spot with Ghost Machine, Ultimate Universe, Energon Universe, lots of new worlds to explore. Yeah.
And they've been readily accepted too. So I think there is an openness to the outside of the big two, but even Ultimate Universe, people are excited. People wanted to get into that. Similarly, an openness there. I feel like that momentum keeps forward, especially for this.
Yeah. Um, Eric Carter says, I'm interested in Absolute just off the fact that that for me right now, DC is hitting much harder than Marvel, Ultimate Universe aside. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you.
Yeah.
And I'm a Marvel guy. Like you apparently are too. But I've been singing the gospel for DC because DC is doing things that are interesting and innovative right now.
Hmm.
Not that creating a new universe is innovative. Obviously, it's derivative, but you know what I'm saying. Things like the compact and different stuff like that.
Yeah, company initiatives.
Exactly. All right, we're gonna take a couple more questions, and then we really have to end this combo.
Baz Randier says, "Optimism is better for my soul, but worse for my wallet."
Facts.
Yeah, yeah. It will include having to divert funds because you have to support that. That's gonna be the hard part.
I'm dropping books. I'm getting ruthless. The
Dang.
fall season is a season of ruthlessness for me.
Cuts.
I'm cutting things. We gotta make room.
Yeah.
Matt Garcia, thanks for the comment. Haven't seen you before. He says, it does kind of feel like a redo of the Earth 1 graphic novels. Okay. So I could see that, but here's my counterpoint. These are in a shared space, shared continuity that will play a factor. They're weekly books, not trades, which means they'll have more buzz. For me personally, I probably bought Wonder Woman, Earth 1, and Batman Earth 1. But that's it. Because I don't buy trades unless it's something that I have already read. Pretty much. And even then, if I want it collected, I wait for the big boy, the omnibus, the absolute. So I think that there are meaningful differences between this and Earth 1.
The stack. Make your wagers accordingly.
That's right. That's right. It's going to be changing. It's going to be changing. Okay. All right. Oh, Izzy, I wanted to get this. Am I being too cautious with my enthusiasm for the first time in all my life? Look, I think that a bit of cautiousness is always okay. I'm not saying that you should. Well, I guess I kind of am saying you should throw caution to the wind because the risk isn't too high. Like I said before, drop the book at the bottom of your stack and add absolute to the top of your stack. And if it sucks, drop it. You're not even invested. It's so early in the game, you don't have to say, yeah, but I've been buying this for the last 10 years. How am I going to stop? Just stop. Oh, shit. I hated Absolute Batman. It's over. Thighs or otherwise. I'm gone.
I'd also point out, buy what you're excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not excited about Superman and Batman, I'm not particularly. Were it not for the show, I wouldn't get them. I'll wait for Wonder Woman and Flash and Green Lantern. Those are the ones that are exciting to me. And you know, if I hear the good stuff about Superman and Batman, I'll check them out from the library. I'll wait for them in trade.
Yeah.
You know, there are ways to support the industry and do and get what you want out of it.
Totally. Triple Ho, you're just saying all things I don't want you to say. He says drop all red band editions.
Yo.
If what you're saying is make more red bands, I disagree. But maybe you meant stop it, which I completely agree with. I don't need red band. What did I like? I liked
The
red
Wolverine
band,
one.
the Wolverine Revenge red band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I liked Blood Hunt #1 red band. But they're putting out a Blade. The book is literally called Blade Red Band. That's the name of the comic. What the fuck? What is a Blade comic if not Red Band? My man kills vampires with swords. That's Red Band. Wolverine stabs people with claws. That's Red Band. We don't need an additional title for that. It's crazy.
Oh, we're gonna do the same.
Well, yeah, I think Triple Ho says stop buying the red bands.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I was gonna. La verdad es católica. Will this be in continuity or a separate universe like Ultimates? This will be separate. Yeah, it's gonna be entirely its own thing.
Yeah, exactly. And thanks for the comment. Appreciate seeing a new name. Lots of new names and faces. You guys have been awesome all throughout this conversation. We were up over 100 people, which hasn't happened since Sal was here. Sal from Comic Pop. So for the fact that you all showed up to hear us talk is a beautiful thing. And it really, really means a lot to us. So thank you for that. Like I've said, the show is far from over. We've got a lot to do, a lot more in the pipe. So stick by us. I do want to say that we have been taking nominations for September's book club and theme. And we're talking absolute right now, but we're going all the way back 13 years, in fact, to the New 52 for the month of September, because that is the theme of the book club. Now, nominations have been taken. A lot of them have come in already. I have been calculating them. So I already know what's winning in the nomination. But I don't want to stop because we didn't get to talk about it on the show yet, on the main show. So if you have yet to nominate a book for the New 52 Book Club, then head on over to the youtube.com/the Comics Pals community tab. Find the post about this and nominate a book. In fact, after I'm done yapping, I'm going to bump that so that, in fact, I can do it while I'm yapping.
Yeah.
Because I can multitask.
Do that, and I'm going to share the link.
All right. Yeah. I'm going to bump it now. And I want you guys to make sure that you nominate a book. Because this, I want to see. What are the books from the New 52 era that stand the test of time in your minds. And some of them have really surprised me. One of the books that people keep mentioning is the Red Lanterns. And I didn't read any of that.
I didn't read any of it, but I heard quite a bit of it was excellent.
Okay.
I think that's where Supergirl becomes a Red Lantern.
Right, yeah. People have been mentioning that. Yeah, I was out on all that. So I'm having an opportunity to learn from you guys through this. So all these titles you're mentioning, these are new things to us, or to me at least, some of them. So please continue to share those. You can nominate a book through our YouTube channel. You can nominate through the patreon.com/the Comics Pals completely for free. You don't have to spend a single dollar. Or on our Discord. All of those places are valid. Uncanny Suit with the $4.99 says, "You guys rock. Can't tell you how much I look forward to these shows every week." That's very sweet. Thank you so much for saying that. And thank you for putting your money and your support behind your enjoyment. A lot of times we forget to do that, or we don't consider it or think about it. People feel comfortable with pirating. People feel comfortable with all of that. And, I don't begrudge people. Live your life how you need to. But I like to, and I like people who support what they love. If you can, if you can, if that's within your means, support the things that you love. And I appreciate you, Uncanny, for being one of those that does that. So again, we're looking for nominations. We're going to close it on Monday. We're going to close it Monday.
This Monday.
So get your noms in. And then we will make the announcement of the final four. The final four books that will enter the Patreon poll that you guys will then vote on. I'm looking forward to seeing what wins. Speaking of putting your support behind what you love, patreon.com/the Comics Pals is the absolute best way to support us. This is a podcast that is sponsored by you exclusively at the moment. So We appreciate everybody who does that. You guys make this all possible. Thank you very much. And maybe I don't do a good enough job of letting you guys know what you can gain. Now, a lot of you have joined up. I've got three
Count 'em.
three origins that are due. And a lot of you have signed up, joined up, and have supported. But let me tell you that not only do you get a newsletter, not only do you get an entirely separate podcast that you never have heard before, where we are talking about our personal lives, we're talking about things that we never get into on this podcast or on PalsVerse. You get a nickname and a shout out on the show, which you know about, but you also get monthly hangouts with us through Discord, voice hangouts. And I wish I had testimonials to share with you right now, but I don't need them because those people are in the chat right now and they can tell you how much they enjoy those hangouts. That's the best part of my month, is getting to hang out with you guys. So if you want to be a part of that culture, if you want to integrate yourself even further into the community, then our Patreon page is the best way to do that. What we're giving you, not just through the Patreon, because it's free to be a part of our community, but what we want is to curate a space where you can feel comfortable being who you are and celebrating your love for comics with us. That's all. That's what our Discord is. It's a celebration of love for comics and other forms of media, movies, TV shows, even wrestling. Whatever you're into, there's a space for you to talk about and celebrate. So if you want to join that, please do.
You're not part of the Discord. You're only getting half of the conversation.
Exactly. Now, I want to share some thanks right now, as you guys know we do every week, with our patrons. So, special shout out to our PalsVerse legends, Thunderstruck, Rebecca Alejandro, the Hound of Justice, Atomic Hound, who was in the chat, Starcross, Catherine Stars, the Red Spiral, Spiral Storm, who was with us before, Orseus, the Waterbound, and a thank you to our PalsVerse members, the Night Stalker, Harris Dajinski, Brian Demolisher Del Pozo, Kefis the Incorruptible, Momentum Mike Elliott, Dan the Truth Trudeau, who was in the chat, Jalen the Sanguine Sorcerer, Marley Manastorm, Slow Flow Dameron, Christian Uncaged Harriet, Always Laughing, the Spear of Justice, Izzy Spears, who was in the chat, the Great Destroyer, Hyper Viper 89, Adam and Bernie the Best Boy, Robert Runback Cashabak, who was in the chat, Pete the Dreamweaver Collins, in the chat, Matthew Malice Price, James Just Jamming Jones, who was in the chat, Amin Almighty Perez, who was in the chat, Paul Powerhouse Smith, Andrew the Galaxian Smith, Neon Knight the Cosmic Avenger, Matthew the Shade Sadler, who was in the chat, BJ Kicks, who was in the chat, the Living Blade, Boss Randir, who was in the chat, and joining the PalsVerse, the Grand Alchemist.
Ooh.
Chop Harder Alchemist.
Oh.
Causality. The idea that every effect or result is preceded by an action that caused it. Every action has a reaction. But it's more than an idea, isn't it? It's a universal truth, observable in the interactions between chemicals, the celestial bodies in our galaxy and their motions, and between people. The alchemist understood causality from a very early age. He knew the chemical reaction that occurred inside his father's body when he had too much alcohol to drink. The effects of that caused the bruises on his body after enduring a night of his father's rage.
Damn.
This caused the alchemist to seek an end to his and his family's suffering. He did some research on the computer at the library and learned of a deadly chemical combination that wouldn't be traceable back to him. After all, who would suspect a child of poisoning their parent? His curiosity was initially caused by a desire to get rid of his father, but this sparked an interest in learning about chemical mixing and how one could create something new or different, something transformed from combining elements. Alchemy. He wanted to witness changes inside his father from ingesting this poison, the cause and effect in real time. Hey, Brat, bring your old man another drink. Mix it special how I like it. And hurry up. The game is coming back on. The boy walked, head down, into the kitchen. He prepared his father's drink with the usual mixture of hard liquors his dad enjoyed, a cocktail that caused many a long night for him. Tonight would be different, however, as inserting a new element into the mix would ensure a new result, a deadly effect. The pitch is moving at blazing speed. Jeter knocks it out of the park. Bases are loaded. It's a home run for the... What the hell did you do to this drink, boy? You sneak something else in here? The boy kept his head down and replied, "No, sir." His father mumbled some obscenity and took another swig. Before he knew it, the man slept his last. The boy tucked himself into bed then, knowing that his life would change forever when he woke up. The alchemist wouldn't be found out for poisoning and killing his father. His decision to do so wouldn't go on to torment him. It was the universal truth at work: causality. His father set his own death in motion. The effects were inevitable, predictable. He would go on to live a life without connections to others, focused on discovering the secrets of the world through alchemy, the key to his salvation. He had learned a great deal about the world since then and had gained power through his alchemical knowledge. He traveled far and wide, motivated by a desire to help those in need and to discover the secrets of alchemy. He had discovered the secrets of transmutation during an excursion to Egypt. He could purify unclean water, make gold from coal, and many other things that caused people to believe he was a miracle worker. They referred to him as the Grand Alchemist. In fact, he was just a student of the laws of nature, cause and effect. Every action has a reaction. He never did stay too long in these towns after he applied his talents. He didn't ask for anything in return, though he was always showered with gifts and had to deny many marriage requests and offers of permanent residency. He would leave these places under the cover of darkness. This time, as he made his attempt to slip out of town undetected, he was stopped just as he exited his temporary lodgings. "Are you leaving? We have many more things to give you. You have done so much for us. Please stay among us and continue to bless our people." "That's very kind of you, but I really must go. At that moment, a shriek came from the home he just exited. He turned to look back at it, shook his head a bit, and pressed on. "I usually like to be gone by now." As he hurried off, behind him, an unspeakable horror emerged from the home. It let out an otherworldly howl, looked around, saw a group of townspeople looking at it, and made its way toward them. Without looking back again, the alchemist knew exactly what took place behind him. It would give him time to escape. Escape what exactly? Cause and effect. Consequence. Causality. Everything has a price. Most of all, power. The people in that town were paying the price now. To the alchemist, it was simply the universe exacting the toll promised by causality. But he would never be the one to pay. He had paid enough. Thank you, Grand Alchemist, for joining the PalsVerse. My question is, do you guys understand what happened at the end?
He turned the lady into something with his alchemy.
Well, when you do something good, there's always an effect. And the effect is something horrific.
I see.
And so he leaves these towns because he's leaving something behind that he doesn't want to face.
With every reaction, there's an equal or opposite reaction.
Exactly.
Emphasis on the opposite reaction.
Exactly.
I see. That's clever.
Why, thank you. Now, I gotta be honest, I spent a lot of time on this one because I just got obsessed I love the idea of causality, and I'm way into that. So I saw an opportunity to bake something that I really care about with alchemy because of how alchemy works and what transmutation is.
Mhm.
I wish I could tell follow-up stories because I could write about this character forever, but I can't yet. So for now, hopefully, Chop Harder Alchemist, and you enjoyed. Whew. Okay. Got another one.
You take a drink. We can. Marco and I can vamp for a second. Like,
Yeah.
we're
Well,
not gonna, but we can.
yeah, yeah.
Oh wow. All right. Thought I was getting a moment. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. So I'll get into the next one. And this one comes from John B.
Hmm.
John B.
One Johns.
One
Again,
of
one of two Johns.
Oh, two
Yeah.
Johns. Two Johns.
Yeah. Given the state of the world today, it can be difficult to not drown in despair. It can be difficult to remember that while there are awful people doing evil things, good still exists and persists in this world. That there are heroes fighting to turn the tide. Not all of our heroes wear capes, though. Not all of them can run as fast as BJ Kicks or use their great strength like Paul Powerhouse Smith. Most of them are the quiet, everyday person who've made it their mission to make a difference and are a hero in the minds of those they serve. John is one such hero. Working at the Hospital of Pediatric Emergencies, Hope for short, he spends his days in the service of children who need a hero. Though he takes pride in his job as a pediatrician, frustration about the systems that put kids in front of him in the first place and the ones that keep families too poor to afford proper care from seeing doctors of his caliber was mounting. The safety nets that some people rail against don't catch everyone, and John's goal, the guiding principle behind his desire to help children, is to be a barrier that protects those kids and their families from falling through the cracks. That goal has been pushed to the brink of late. Things were getting worse in the city, and the chaos was causing more injured children to pass through his doors than ever. The days and nights began to blend for John, and he found himself overwhelmed by the pain and sadness he was so often confronted by. He didn't realize it at the moment, taking a breath and preparing himself for another long night shift, but this would be the longest night of his life and the most challenging yet. Just as he exited his office to begin his rounds, he heard screaming coming from the lobby. He rushed towards it to see what it was about and came upon a horrifying scene. Multiple gun-toting men aiming them at families, at children. The raging war outside had now arrived on his doorstep. He could not abide this. John stood in between the families that were now huddled up in a corner of the room and the men who were pointing guns at them. He put himself in harm's way. What the hell are you doing? I got my gun aimed at kids right now. You think I'll hesitate to shoot you, Doc? Whatever it is you want, take it and leave these families alone. What we want, the lead gunman shifted his gun and aimed it as a family, is those kids. John looked at the man in his eyes and saw that he wasn't all there. In fact, they all had the same faraway look in their eyes. What was wrong with these men? Whatever the answer, he knew there was nothing that would stop them from shooting. Turn them over or we kill everyone. No, John shouted. Okay, have it your way. Without hesitating, the men began to fire their guns. John braced himself, putting his body between the huddled families and pressed his hands outward, closing his eyes. He heard the hail of bullet fire, and for a moment, he felt like a failure. He hadn't fulfilled his oath. He hadn't protected these people. But at least they knew he stood for them, even during his last moments. John opened his eyes and couldn't believe what he saw. A massive, hard light barrier that created a separation between the men and John and these families. What's more, the bullets that they fired, bounced off the hard light shield and back at them. These men were now riddled with bullets in the legs, arms, bodies, all over the place. John couldn't believe his eyes. What had just happened? Had he done this? What caused this? He had a brief moment of looking behind him to see that the families were all okay, that no one was injured. Then he looked at these men and had a quick thought. Well, they did this to themselves, but at least they're in the hospital. This is the best place for them. He knew then that something had changed inside of him. His mission wasn't different now. He still knew that he needed to protect and serve the people, not just with his talents as a doctor, but with this newfound power. He would be a barrier between people and those who would do them harm. He would be a barrier between evil and the city that he loved. And he would be a barrier between pain and agony and good people who deserved better. John B. was the barrier, is the barrier that this city needs. And he would use this power for good. Thanks, John. Appreciate you, man. And I want to say, with John's specific PalsVerse entry, welcome to the PalsVerse to John. He actually wrote in and told us what his real life occupation is. So I didn't make any of that up. All of that is completely real. John is a real life pediatrician, and he does serve families and young people wherever it is that he lives. So thank you for doing that, John. Thank you for your service, and welcome to the PalsVerse.
Glad to have you.
What's up, barriers in real life?
Hell yeah.
But well, between children and pain, yes. Yes, indeed. Between families and having to go through the worst of it, yes. I have a lot of respect and admiration for people like you. So thank you. And Simon Galeforce,
Ooh.
who I don't have your entry ready yet. We only have time enough for 2, and 2 is a lot. So thank you, Simon. You're next up. I've got you on the docket. If you are listening and you enjoy these and you would like to join the PalsVerse, patreon.com/thecomicspals is the only way to do it. Click the Join the PalsVerse tier, and you will have your origin story read here on the air. What's more than that? The Spear of Justice, who I shout out every single week, has done some killer miniature figures that he has designed himself.
Yeah.
Of some of the people who are in the PalsVerse now. And when I tell you that these are insane and that this man is super talented, I mean it. And the only way to see those is the Patreon Pals hidden Discord channel. So
I think there are 5 of the PalsVerse characters. Yeah. And then there are the 4 of us, as well as Izzy themselves. Yeah.
That one was cool. Seeing us, seeing the other people, like seeing these things come to life is amazing.
Bro, I show people mine all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
I what is it? Because I put up a picture of mine on my Instagram, and my aunt was like, why you have what is this, like, what this arcade machine? I'm like, oh yeah, so like I'm a sentient arcade machine. She's like, okay.
Yeah. People always go, hot dog cart, huh? Yeah.
So good. Love it.
I know that we always kind of lose listeners, live viewers, as I'm doing that, but I think it's more valuable to me what you guys give us by joining the PalsVerse and becoming a part of this community, entrenching yourselves even deeper. So I'll always take the time for it, no matter how big we ever get. Thank you guys very much.
Appreciate it. Makes it worth it.
And again, we will not vamp. Sean's gonna take a drink of water, but don't worry, we're not gonna say anything.
Not a word.
I see that. And I appreciate the kind words in the comments section. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. And John B., I'm glad you enjoyed yours. Thank you again so much. Okay. So we've got the Marvel top 5 events that we need to close out today. We've been doing it all month long. It is our list of our personal favorite top 5 Marvel comic book events. We had Comics Explained join the show last week, impromptu, and he shared
Yeah.
his top 5 with us, which was pretty incredible. But we'll get into our final 2 here now. Kale, why don't you kick us off while I take a break?
Yeah. So you might not get much of a break because my number 2 is Civil War. Civil War, I think, is a tremendous event, and we probably talked it to death last week. But I love the real life conflict that Marvel sort of engendered in the story. You know, um, Joe Quesada went on the Colbert Report and gave Stephen Colbert Captain America's shield in an interview, where they were talking about Civil War and why is this even happening, and what does it even matter? And I thought that was the way they handled that, and then the way the whole thing closes out. I found to be just absolutely phenomenal, and it was such a landmark moment because uh, it was based in real life tragedy. It was based in tragedy that felt real. The uh, you know, the school shootings and things like that were not that they hadn't happened yet, but they were just kicking off, and everything that's come since, you know, uh, has come from those moments. Those early like school shooting moments, and the world has reacted both good and bad to that in the same way that the Marvel universe did. And it was a vehicle for paranoia and storylines that spread all the way through the cosmos. Like it touched the deepest parts of Annihilation. And we talked about that a bit in our book club. One point that I wanted to talk about that we didn't get to last week was a listener brought up this comment, and I would like to talk about it just a little. Chris Lister said that Civil War is a bad story. The reasoning is that the metahumans need to be controlled, but then let the supervillains loose and clone Thor and make him into a weapon. None of this makes sense. So thank you for that comment. I apologize for not getting that. We couldn't take the time to get to it last week, but I wanted to address it because I think what the role that the supervillains had was survive or perish. And I think Robot Thor itself was a bad decision, and a bad decision made in wartime. And it showed the real stakes. It was a moment of real stakes that this story was going to cover. And I think that was, despite being a bad move by Tony Stark and his side, he gets his comeuppance by real Thor. But the death of Goliath also, like Bill Foster, that took a heavy toll, and it showed that even the decisions of letting the supervillains run amok and try to go by the law, the letter of the law, quote unquote, wasn't the best decision, but it also, like, it was a necessary one to them. And I think beats like that were so important because war doesn't make sense, but it happens. And decisions like that happen in real life.
Hell yeah. I'm not gonna say anything because Civil War is gonna come up for me. So I I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
And what's your number one?
Number one is Secret War. Uh,
Hickman.
I yeah. I didn't get to the whole of Secret War, but I did, when it came out. But I did read those bits and pieces as it came out. Um, and the thing I remember the most is actually Infinity. Sorry, uh, where we see Black Bolt unleash his full voice on Thanos.
Yes.
Yo.
That moment has lived in my head rent free. Sometimes when I'm sad, I think about that and I go, fuck yeah, at least I got that. If I if the world don't got me, Black Bolt unleashing his whole voice got me. I know that. Um, I think the way Hickman crafted stuff going all the way back to Secret Warriors, Fantastic Four, and Avengers World, like crafting the whole thing to lead to that singular story of Secret Wars. Um, you know, never totally knowing that he might get there. I think when you're a comic book writer, now Hickman's like, oh yeah, I can do anything I want. And Marvel will tell him, we pay for it. But at the time, he wasn't Bendis. Like nobody knew he was gonna be able to pull all that off. And then he did. And I think, that's probably that culmination of storytelling and career making work uh is the kind of stuff that that makes superhero comics phenomenal, and it has made them what they are.
Yeah.
I love Secret War.
Beautiful. I'm not gonna say anything. It's beautiful.
Because it's number two for you.
Marco, go for it.
My number two is Onslaught. I read that book purely for the memes, purely for the laughs, and I came out. I feel like when you read certain books of certain eras, you can feel like an archaeologist of the time, and that very much gave me that feeling. I saw uh, Ben Riley. Wasn't familiar with the character, and I just through a few issues of crossover fell in love with that. There was some really good X-Force stuff that I wouldn't have read otherwise. There wouldn't be a reason for me to read otherwise. And the concept of Onslaught itself was interesting. It exceeded an expectation that it exceeded an expectation, and it exceeded a bias, because I feel like people retrospectively look back at that and say this isn't good. And I'm one to form my own opinion on a story, and I was granted that opportunity, and I really enjoyed it. I had so much fun with it, and yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's a slog for some, not gonna lie, some crossovers, some of the tie-ins, but I think at the end you get a really cool villain and a really interesting way to overcome. So that's my number two.
Can I just say, can I just make sure everyone understands that Marco has read exactly 6 Marvel events.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. So that's how that happened.
And Onslaught isn't the bad one. It's his number two.
Yeah. Uh, my number one is Civil War, and Kale listed off quite a bit, so I'm not gonna belabor it, but for me, it was an event that felt like had real world impact, and I haven't had that or experienced that in an event in the past. The stakes felt real and close to home, and the way forward with that was, I thought, just a really well made, well crafted story. The frontline books, man, were just next level, and I just off quality. So that's my number one. It currently is the benchmark for Marvel events.
And what's your honorable mention, Marco? Because we said we would do it last week. We said we would get your number 6.
It was was the Eternals one? Judgment Day.
Turtles one.
No, the Eternals.
Oh, Eternals. I thought he said
Eternals.
Turtles one.
Okay. So I think I'm having an aneurysm. Are you? Did you not include Empire and
Yeah.
and Onslaught when Judgment Day was coming out? You were on top of that shit. You were writing that shit.
It was good.
How is it that didn't even make it into your top 5? But Empire and Onslaught did. What the fuck?
Scott Lobdell has a significant presence in Onslaught.
Yeah.
And it's in your top 5. Oh.
And did you hear how he said that? Yeah. Like he's what the fuck?
There were good issues. He was
No,
doing
they
good
were
work.
not. I've never even read them. You can't tell me they're good issues.
Yeah.
Marco, you're on some shit, bro.
Oh,
you're on some shit.
Empire just holds a special place in my heart, man.
You're on some shit.
My first disappointment.
You were writing on Judgment Day hard.
Yeah.
Loved the Eternals.
Loved it.
You are preaching the Eternals.
How? Not even in your top 5? Nutty. I don't understand it. But okay, that's your list. And I'll respect it.
I like it.
Yeah, I don't like it. Certainly don't like it. I respect it.
We'll take it.
Yes, absolutely. Chop Harder Alchemist, you missed your origin, bro. Go back a little bit. I'm very curious to hear what you think about it, since it is yours, of course. New Sean meme just dropped. Uncanny Suit. Listen, when I hear some shit like that, what else can I do but react? That shit was nuts. I don't understand. I don't understand. All right. So,
Yo, Uncanny, bro. He said, Empire, quote, Empire holds a special place in my heart, end quote. Literally no other human has ever said this.
He even said it was my first disappointment.
Yeah. It marked my first, like this is what you guys are all excited about? These are your events? Get the fuck out of here.
Then you go on to read an event that you love, but you keep out of your top 5.
Yeah.
Make it make sense. Please.
Yo, Electric's Empire is definitely not better than Judgment Day.
What? So what the fuck is the point of your list if it's a top 5 and you just said that your number 5 is not better than your number 6? What? Help me.
It's
a feeling. It's the feeling of where it sits for me.
Oh, I got a feeling. I want to throw something at you. I don't understand it.
Through the green screen.
I'm not a violent guy, but I don't understand it, Marco. Okay, fine. That's your list. Whatever.
You gotta let it go. Let's just talk about good books now.
I have to. I have to move
Triple
on.
O. Marco counts backwards.
No, because then Civil War would be number 5, and we can't abide that either.
For Marco,
he thinks it's solid.
Solid. Word, Ray. It's all vibes.
Fuck a vibe. Listen, here's my number two. My number two is Secret Wars 2015. Jonathan Hickman, Isadorovich. At this point in time, Jonathan Hickman, 2015, my favorite writer
Yeah.
because New Avengers and Avengers were insane. I was a huge fan of Secret Warriors, which he was essentially the only writer of. Bendis's name was on it, but that was really just to get the book off, to get it to sell. Hickman could do no wrong in my mind. Infinity, as Kale pointed out, excellent event. So I was loving everything. Adding Issad's artwork to the mix was insane. He's one of the greatest artists of all time. We're seeing it now on Avengers vs. Aliens. This is him 10 years prior doing stunning work. And it's a culmination of everything that Hickman had been doing at Marvel to that point. It was absolutely brilliant. It worked on multiple levels. It was a closure to the Ultimate Universe. It was essentially a closure to the Captain America and Iron Man feud throughout, Hickman's time.
Yep.
It was a
Yep.
Doctor Doom and a Reed Richards story
Yep.
at its core as well. It was insane. It revamped Marvel, at least for that time period. We got some amazing tie-ins. I don't know if you guys remember I think those books were called What If? Maybe they weren't, but either way, the tie-ins that came out around that time, the Civil War one was absurdly good.
It was Battle World, wasn't it?
I don't remember if they were called Battle World, but there was a Battle World book. But in any event, it could have been Battle World, whatever it was, right? The Civil War one with Neil Francis Yu art, nuts, insanely good book, way better than Civil War 2 from my recollection. There were a lot of great ones. You had the Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, which everybody loved as well. So tremendous books that came out of it. But the core series represents some of the best storytelling that Marvel has absolutely ever had, bar none. Amazing moments. Remember the page that's like, I think it's Doom and Reed, but like their faces, each like tile on the page is a part of either one of their faces coming together to make both two sides of their faces, some shit like that. Mind blowing. Mind blowing. One of the best events ever in comics, let alone Marvel. Pretty much unbeatable. And I think maybe taking my nostalgia out of the equation for Civil War, which is my number one, maybe Secret Wars would beat it out just because of how good it is from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Civil War, as I said, my number one. It is the reason that I am here. Because up until then, I loved comics. I thought they were cool. But if it wasn't for Civil War, I never would have understood how far comics could go. So I'm 16 years old.
You look great.
Oh, thank you. And I had the same beard, believe it or not, without the grays. But I'm getting into comics. I'm really starting to enjoy them. Civil War is the first event that happens while I'm a fan.
Mm.
But I don't know that comic book stories get to be impactful and meaningful and involve political elements and get deep in this way. I had no idea. So I was blown out of my socks by Civil War. People always talk about inconsistencies in character and all these different things. To me, all those complaints fall by the wayside if you were really activated and really reading comics at that time. You understand where these characters were coming from. I think it all makes sense. I think it's all great. Even some of the things that people point out, like Iron Man making a Thor clone. Well, yeah, why not? Why not make a Thor clone? You're trying to save the superhero community, but you're also trying to save the public from having a war with the superhero community that don't go great for anybody involved. Greater good. The greater good. Right? I could wax poetic about Civil War for hours. I have already. I won't do it again. But needless to say, I believe that across these issues, I believe it's 7 issues, pound for pound, Marvel hasn't done anything better on this scale. I'm not sure that they ever will, but every single time an event comes around, I kid you not, I am asking myself, is this the one? Is this the one that's going to make me feel like I felt?
Yeah.
And to this day, since then, only one time has that happened, and it is Secret Wars. But I'm always holding out hope. But Civil War does something to me that no other comic does, and I'll love it forever. So thank you to Marvel and those creators, Mark Miller, Steve McNiven, who did phenomenal work with that art. To this day, that's how comics look in my brain. They look like Steve McNiven art. Best event, hands down.
And for those who are following along, Tyler couldn't be with us today, but he said his best event is Spider-Man: The Clone Saga. Real pervert stuff, but you can't just like Marco, you can't fault him.
What was his number 2?
His number 2 had to have been what is it? Help me.
I like seeing this struggle.
That's why I'm not saying
I can't
it.
think of the name. What is it? He told us. It was
Got it right there.
it just happened in Spider-Man, the Spider-Man X-Men crossover. Hallows Eve?
Definitely not. You're thinking of Dark Web.
Dark Web.
That's his number 2.
That's it. Well, it was number 2.
See, the thing is that Tyler actually liked Dark Web.
Listen, he told us it was his favorite thing. There's no jokes here.
Oh, all right.
Tyler's gone. Jokes has left the room.
Thank goodness. Thank you guys for hanging out with us for our
Heroes
top
Reborn.
fives.
That would have been so much better.
Heroes Reborn. Yes, that would have been a lot better. In fact, what you could have done was you could have had Heroes Reborn be his number 2 and his number 1, because there's 2 of them things.
2 of them. Yeah.
Yep. Because you guys have been so good today, you guys have been amazing today. We do have a little bit more show, but I want to give away those channel memberships that I promised.
Ooh, yeah.
You guys have been so good. You've been so real. You've been so engaging that we're going to give away, I think we can give away 10 today.
Damn.
Wow.
I think we can. So let's see what
we afford that in this economy?
And only in this economy.
Wait, let me get out of it so I don't get one.
Oh yeah. Go. Wait, hold on. And then refresh your page, Sean. That way it like clears us.
Hey, what happened here? It didn't it's not letting me give away the free ones. Did we do that this month?
No?
We didn't do that this month. What's up, YouTube? What happened?
I don't recall.
Y'all damn YouTube's trying to keep us from celebrating our followers. What the heck?
Son of a bee. You know what? Sorry, guys. We'll do it next week. We will gift those channel memberships because I guess we did it this month already. I don't remember doing that.
Yeah.
Shit. That's so annoying. I feel like a fraud now.
The liar.
Marco, you're rich. You do it.
Marco, are you connected? Is our channel connected to our like financial stuff?
Yes.
So how about you do it?
Okay, hold on.
Give away 5 if you can.
Yeah,
pull it out of your.
This is gift
pull
free
it out of your
charge.
wallet.
I have 10 memberships left to give this month.
Oh, so what the heck? How come it didn't spawn for me? Go for it. Give it up.
All right, here you go.
Hit it.
Gifting 5 now. Let's see, who
Good.
got
I'm
it?
not a fraud.
So, C.W. Gordon, Cosma the Andric, Etienne, Ben McComas, and RJ.
I love how I only know 2 of those names.
I know. Yeah, those are some deep lurkers.
That's what's up. Love the lurkers. Keep your lurk on.
I think Cosmethandric made a comment today, actually.
Oh yeah, he's not one of the lurkers. He's
okay.
He's always up in our comments.
Gordon's not either, obviously.
CW Gordon's a veteran.
Yeah.
On the block.
So congratulations to you guys. Thank you for being here with us. Hope you enjoy your timed exclusive videos. And when I tell you we have a lot coming in that regard, we
Whew.
really, really do. And also your emojis in the chat. I would love to see some emojis in the chat.
Wow.
And you know what, Marco, fire off the other 5. Let's get it.
Let's go. All right, here we are, pressing the button. We have, let's see.
Hey.
Michael Nadeau,
Nice.
Garf Wong, Michael
Okay.
DeFonte, Just Big Step Bro, whoa, and Graydon Koger. Welcome.
Oh, finally, glad the Michaels got together and got a PALS membership.
There you go. Love to see it. Congratulations to you guys. Michael Nadeau, a very, very integrated member of our community. Love to see that. And of course, you lurkers. Keep on lurking on. I love you guys.
Keep on lurking.
Mr.
Lurkers, keep
Mr.
on lurking.
Mr. B. Wills says, didn't realize I wasn't subscribed until 2 seconds ago. Whoa, 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 whoa,
Wow.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Hopefully you rectified that. And everybody should. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. You wouldn't be able to get the channel memberships if you're not, I don't think.
Yeah.
But make sure you're subscribed. And let me see some pals heads in the chat. Let's see them. You got them, flaunt them.
Do I got him?
No, you don't got them,
Damn.
thankfully. Not this time around. All right. Let's do one more thing. Let's do one more news piece here. Marco, we're gonna go to the DC Comics offers retailers a DC Compact Comics display. All right.
Got it.
So you guys, if you're a DC fan, even if you're not, you've probably heard of the DC Compact Comics and what DC's been doing with that. They've been selling like hotcakes. They are a hot seller. Stores can't seem to keep them. And thus far, they've been a great initiative for DC. So what's happening is DC is offering stores stands where, that you might typically see in a store, like if they were trying to, like if let's say there was a Flash movie coming out, they might have a standee that shows like, oh, here are the great Flash books that you might want to buy because you care about the Flash right now. Well, DC is doing that for their compact line. This is great. Maybe. We'll talk about that in just a second. So retailers can get this display for free by ordering 60 copies of select titles or purchase it separately for $110.
Yikes.
And so this is coming from Bleeding Cool, who did a great job with reporting this. And so if you order 60 copies, any mixture of the following 60 books, you can get the display for free. So it's Batman, the Court of Owls saga, and these are all the compact versions. Court of Owls saga, Watchmen, All-Star Superman, Far Sector, Batman Hush, Wonder Woman Earth 1.
Oh, okay. So 10 copies each.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Or any mixture that you decide is best for your store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That feels pretty good. I think to outright buy it for $110, like that's not worth it. But to get that as included for your compact books, it's cute. It's a different way it's an additional way to have your books sold. You can see how that works. You can place it in different spaces. So I think it's a great idea.
So I'm mixed.
Like I don't think this is gonna sell your books, but at the very least you have a different display that's maybe beneficial to a store.
So here's my thing. DC Compact is a great initiative to get people in the door who are otherwise not interested or feel priced out or whatever the case may be, right? But people like me, let's see. So I've got all Far Sector in physical already, but I double dipped. Okay, great. Wouldn't DC rather that I double dip on the Far Sector trade or the Far Sector hardcover or the Court of Owls hardcover or the Court of Owls absolute? We talked when this was first announced about how these are theoretically loss leaders because the disparity between cost of buying the individual trade or absolute editions of any of these books is way cheaper than buying it in this format. So if there's a standee that is featuring these books on Front Street in a comic book shop and a person is buying them out, they're not buying those other versions. And that includes newcomers and store shop regulars. They're not going to spend the $40 it would cost them to get Far Sector collected. They're going to spend 10. So how does DC ever again sell that big bulky version of Far Sector if you could just get it for $10? We said that they're loss leaders, but that also invalidates other stock. I don't know so much for absolutes because I truly think that's a different audience person. But trades and hardcovers, I have a concern about that because that doesn't just hurt the big two. They'll be fine. But if you're a store that has 3 or 4 copies of Far Sector on your shelves, they're never going to sell.
Plus that cost and convenience factor of the compact editions, people are going to wonder why other trades aren't like that. And so that could cause people to not buy other trades in comic books.
I was trying to think of this from like the perspective of, do you give these books to different potential customers? Like if do you give somebody who's more comics integrated the trade of Court of Owls or the hardcover of Court of Owls versus a newcomer who is just like, I don't really know where to start. I just need something to get my foot in the door. Here's something cheap and accessible so that you can do so. Not to say that the paperback wouldn't necessarily be inaccessible, but the costs would be like, what, $25? The 25 compared to the 10, I feel like if you're trying to convince somebody who's unawares otherwise, I see the value for selling, still having both of those, but selling them to 2 different individuals.
So here's the thing with that. Before I say my thoughts, we are at 93 likes. That's what I see. If we get to 100 likes while we're still live, that would be incredible. And we just gave out a gift to you guys. So if you could give us that gift, that would be incredible. But to answer Marco's point, if these are on display as standees, right, that means that any person can walk in, see that, choose it, and buy it. But now that person is conditioned to think that the comics they feel like reading cost $10. And ones that don't, why would I spend 2, 3, 4 times that to get a story when I could just not and buy the ones that cost $10? To me, that represents a huge problem because that affects every kind of reader. Every single kind of reader is affected by that fact. I have read all the stories that have been produced to this point for Compact, but what happens when they start producing ones that I haven't read? I'm going to buy that version.
Well, to that point though, if somebody doesn't want to upgrade to the next size up or whatever the format might be, I'd argue then that person wouldn't have bought it in the first place. If your argument is, I'm gonna buy the $10 one for the convenience and price point, but it's crazy that the comics costs this much, then I doubt that individual would have gone to go pick up the paperback. If anything, I think the compact edition therein is more effective.
Well, what does it condition you to think about the price of comics? The point, in my mind, the point of a loss leader is to get people into the fold, right?
Yep.
Okay. So $10 for an entire story versus $4.99 for 22 pages. No one is going to look at that and say that that's value. We're conditioned to it because we're integrated. We're in the industry. But if you walk into a comic shop and want to grab, what's this random book on top of my stack? X Force. You want to grab X Force, it's $3.99.
Yeah.
Why would you buy this? If you're a newcomer.
But why would you have bought it in the first place then?
But Marco, that's the exact point that I'm making. If the intention of the compact is to be a loss leader, then when you buy that book and you see the price of comics, you balk. You're not being integrated into the at-large community of comics. The idea is to bring in new readers to the fold who are then branching out and buying other stuff. But why the hell would you buy a $5 comic if you could get the whole story for 10?
Yeah. Maybe take the phrase loss leader out and, think of it as like these compact editions are supposed to be ways to get new readers in, right? If they see the $10 price point and they see that a 22 pager is half that price, they're not going to go for the 22 pager. So that's a new reader lost.
But that reader picks up the $10 book.
But that $10 book also has a $30 copy on a shelf in the same store. So that store just lost 20 extra bucks.
Mm.
If this sells at like Target, Barnes and Noble, places that don't have floppies, places that aren't really that into comics, fine, because you could be a passerby at a place like that.
Yeah.
But mostly people who go to comic stores are there for a purpose. Or, if they're there for a purpose, you walk in, you see that, you go, wow, that's really cheap. Great. You pick it up. You look at the $5 comics on the stand and you're like, whoa, this is nuts. I thought the point of this, in my mind, was to get new readers into the fold. But the more I think about it and the more I see stuff like this, it's like, well, is this really doing that? And if it's not doing that, then what's the point? $10 is way too cheap relative to the price of everything else in the industry. I don't know how this is sustainable.
Well, the Image First volume trades are $10-15. Like it's a similar concept there, but I think there you integrate more directly.
But they have gradually gone up. Remember when they were $10?
That's like $12. $15.
Now they're 10 to 15.
Yeah.
And that's not even the full story.
But also, those Image First are effective at bringing people into the fold. And if you liked it, then you can go and read the next volume. There is no next volume of,
Watchmen or something. Sure.
Yeah. So I do think that is an issue. I think it was BJ Kicks that said on social media that his store only keeps a certain amount of compacts on shelf because they don't want people to like overwhelmingly go for them.
Sure.
Tilo says, you guys know that novels have pocket editions, right? Yeah, but novels, the book world is not in the critical state that the comic book industry is. And the comic book industry thrives on not selling you one book, but making you a lifelong fan. It doesn't mean anything to DC Comics if you, one individual person, go and buy one compact comic. That doesn't help them. They're a loss leader. That's not in any way, shape, or form the same thing. Books are much cheaper to produce than comics. Do you understand how much it costs to make one comic book? The cost of me making a book is sitting in front of my freaking computer and typing it up and then them binding the pages and shipping that out. The cost of making a comic is astronomically higher than that.
Yep.
It's not the same ballpark.
Black
Ray
or white or color.
Mescalado. Yeah. Ray Mescalado points out that the compacts may then be a tacit admission that current LCS comic prices, floppies, and trades are just too expensive for potential casual readers. They're too expensive for Wednesday Warriors.
But the Wednesday Warriors will pay.
Yeah, we're idiots.
So then I feel like the compact then is for that casual reader who passes by. It's like, oh, maybe I'll check out this thing. I have a passing interest and I've heard of Watchman or whatever, and I'm going to go pick up a book.
But don't we always say that there are no casual comic book store goers? Like, are there people who are casually interested in comics? Yes.
Mm.
But are there people who just go, oh, hey, a comic shop, let me walk in? I would say that that's fairly uncommon,
Yeah.
unless it's like Midtown or something like that.
Somewhere, yeah, a fairly populous area. I don't know if I think these compact editions belong in a comic book store.
Mm.
They
They
don't.
should
Yeah, go ahead.
they should be a gateway drug. They should be in the supermarket stands, by, like we said, by the small book section, or where they keep the Archie's Digest and the tabloids and the daily crosswords or whatever.
Yeah. Tilo follows up with, those compact books are already paid for, though. Watchmen is not a loss leader even at $10. Yeah, but think about this fact. Think about this fact. Court of Owls, Watchmen, two of DC's perennial top 10 graphic novel sellers every single year. And those books are what? Upwards of $20, right? For the most part. Now what happens, because they sell Watchmen constant. Now what happens if they're selling the same amount of Watchmen, maybe even more, but they're selling it for way less? They're making less money off of selling Watchmen. Far Sector is a little bit different because Far Sector is not a perennial bestseller. You are getting people to read this that wouldn't otherwise, but it's very easy to sell people on reading Watchmen because most people already want to. It sells every year. They keep it in print. Now they're selling it for cheaper. So my argument is they very well would be making more money if this version didn't exist. It's the same reason why comic books don't cost $2.99 anymore, because the industry decided that the amount of money that they were making by having the comics be a little bit cheaper wasn't worth the amount of money that they were losing by not just raising the price. Hopefully that makes sense. It's more economical in their minds to raise the price and lose some readers due to the price going up than it is to keep the price low and retain the amount who would bulk at a price raise. Dan Didio said exactly that in an interview that he did last year that we talked about on this very show. They were comfortable losing a certain amount of readers to make a little bit more money on every single individual issue sold.
I'm seeing a couple people in the chat bring up that this as a more general awareness piece. I think you're right that these would serve better outside of the comic shop, because once you're in the shop, you're already there for a niche experience. Roboter says they belong in the grocery store. Casherback says they're great for the airport bookshop. I think the conveniences outside of the specialty store make much more sense for this, to be able to casually integrate somebody into the world of comics. Then
Yes.
Yeah.
you're more likely to be a passerby at an airport than you are at the grocery store, at your Target, at whatever, than you are at the comic shop. Agreed.
And outside of specialty editions and certain things, like we know Target will sell like the Brave and the Bold with the special cover and stuff like that. Comics don't take up a lot of space in those stores. We don't have a lot of share of the space in those markets. So if you could take something like this and put it there, then it doesn't matter that Far Sector or Watchmen can be purchased in other avenues because people are seeing it here. whereas it wouldn't be exposed to it anywhere else. But in a comic shop, they can sell you that for a lot more money, and the shop won't lose out. Understand, the shops lose out every time they sell this version of Far Sector and not the more expensive version.
Mm.
I'm not making it up. This is how it is.
One Cushman says it's good. A new comment. Thanks for showing up. It's good to have options on how we want to get our comics. Compact is a really good idea. Listen, we agree. Just that what we're for these compact editions, big time. But what we're saying is maybe putting them in the place where other comics are sold. It loses. Well, it takes away from the other comics.
Yeah, it's not as strategic.
Yeah, and again, the point of this conversation isn't. I'm not saying. I don't think anybody here is saying compacts shouldn't exist. The point of the conversation is to look at how they are potentially impacting the industry and to figure out, is this the best thing for us? And we don't have the answer. The data isn't fully available yet. So we do have to wait it out. But I just feel like the comic shop is the last place that should be selling these, unless DC has a strategy, and unless these are intended to bring on new readers, people who are then going to become integrated into the industry at large. If that is not the goal, then keep them out of comic shops.
Ray Mescalado says another thing to consider, maybe compact editions aren't made to increase comic book readership primarily, but to increase the brand awareness for the IP as movies, TV shows, and whatever other merch. Yeah, but I don't think the comic shop needs to be the place where that happens.
Yeah.
John B says, but how many people will buy this, love the story, then buy the $100 plus oversized edition? Probably not many, right? Like, probably most people wouldn't.
Half a person.
Right. But that isn't even who I'm thinking about, because the absolute edition, I think, is aimed at a different kind of person entirely. That's the most integrated person.
Yep.
But what about trades? Trades is the second level of integration, because trades are cheaper than singles.
Yeah.
The most integrated person buys absolutes and singles. But if you want someone to take their next step into comics, and let's say Court of Owls, right, is your first step, and then you want to buy the next story in that continuation, and the next story costs you $20 more, you might not be so happy to be a comics reader. You're going to go from spending 10 to 30? Or is DC forced to continue to produce Snyder and Capullo's run in compact? And how much money are they losing at that point?
Yeah.
Yep. Those suits ain't gonna lose that much money. Zaslav will delete Warner Brothers again before he does that.
The neighborhood Merc makes an interesting point. I think not only is DC trying to attract new people to comics, but also to attract manga readers to comics as well. The size, the full stories, the price point that aligns with manga. I think there's a similar appeal from a format perspective on that price point. And if it does mimic that, then I can see how somebody could be interested in this in manga and then pick this up as well because they've never read a comic, and I think that makes sense. Introduce them to the world of DC. That's fair.
But again, like, think about the cost of the next part.
Sure.
You know, Court of Owls, as Sean just said, has a part 2.
Yeah, and I think like the weebs are gonna pay if they're buying manga. Then you buy 1 or 2 of these compact editions, and you want more. I think once you get similarly a fan of the medium into another series, I think they end up paying.
I'm arguing that they won't.
Especially,
because of exactly what Sean just said. The next part of a manga is the same cost of the previous manga. The next part of Court of Owls, from the compact edition is twice that, if you're lucky.
Yeah. I don't think that speaks well of the industry, and I don't think that is the way to bring on new readers who want to continue with the story that they just read.
Mm.
Because the only way to do that, well, the only way to do it physically is to drop, a whole bunch of bread to get the next story and the next one and the next one. You know, I don't know. I don't remember how many issues Snyder and Capullo's Batman ran for. What was it, like 50 something?
Something like that, probably 60.
80 something. Yeah.
Let's say it was 50. It was probably more. I think Kale's right. I think it was actually quite a bit more. But let's say it was 50. And at that point, DC was holding the line at $2.99. So that's $150 to read the whole story. It would probably, like, how much would it cost you to read the whole story of Attack on Titan? How many volumes of that are there? And how much story content is that versus Snyder and Capullo's whole run? The value proposition is not there in comics. And so if value is what you're used to as a manga reader, comics ain't the place.
Mm.
And that's the problem. The industry is not aimed at people who do not have expendable income. It's just not. It's aimed at a very specific kind of person. Someone who is in their life enough to have earned the kind of money that they can spend on frivolousness.
Their expendable income already goes to comics.
Yeah.
Now, I did see someone in the chat. I think it was Uncanny Suit, but Uncanny Suit had a good idea, which was to include a digital code for a free month of DC Unlimited or Absolute or whatever it is.
Yeah.
With the purchase of a compact book.
That's a
and
great
all you
idea.
have to do is put your credit card in and you get a free month. That is a stroke of brilliance. That is intelligence, because that continues the trend of being able to read comics for cheap.
Yep.
And that's a totally different person. You don't care necessarily yet about what's happening right now in comics because you haven't seen it. But you do care about Snyder and Capullo's Batman. So you read Court of Owls, you get your free month, and then you go haywire reading as much as you can. The month expires, and then you're like, yo, I'm not done yet. I want more. So you re-up. And now the world of DC is your oyster. And maybe that person says, I want to go physical. I want to be day and date. And they do that, but maybe they don't. It doesn't matter. DC has somebody now in their ecosystem who never would have been otherwise. But they went the digital road. That's okay. But that'll help shops, which is why I don't think this is a shop-based initiative.
Yep.
All right. I think we can leave the conversation there. Again, we're not saying that there's not alternative points of view. We're sharing our point. I hope these do gangbusters for DC. I want this to work. I just worry for how it represents the industry as a whole, that comics are so expensive, but these are not. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. Hopefully it's good.
Before we cut, I want to really say thank you so much. You guys have supported us crazy this August. August has been our best month yet, and July was our best month yet before that. On every level. You guys are watching us more than ever. You're engaging more than ever. You're supporting more than ever. The fact that we've been at this for 3 hours and there are still over 60 of you with us. The fact that our high was over 110 is insane for our growth. If you've been riding with us for some time, you know how different things were even just 6 months ago, even a year ago. All of that growth is due to you guys really showing up for us. Thank you for choosing us every week. It means the world. This is my favorite thing about my life. Really, really, really thank you. You guys make this worth doing. The next time we will be live with you is Thursday for Pals Pulse. We've got a great list of books on tap for that. I'll share them with you guys now. as we go. And before you close out, please do make sure you hit the like button. Did we get to 100? I hope we did, because that would be really sweet. We did. We did get over 100.
Oh,
So thank you.
101.
Let's
That's a beautiful
go.
thing.
I have to believe that Dumbala was number 101. Thank you, Dumbala. You are my hero.
On tap for this week, we've got Ultimates number 4, my favorite comic, Exceptional X-Men number 1, Absolute Power number 3, Batman 152, and Birds of Prey number 13. So stacked week, DC leaning week, but it's going to be great. And of course, your listener pick. You guys can vote in the listener pick poll, which is up on youtube.com/thecomicspals in the community tab. Goes up every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. You can vote for what will be the 6th book on that stack. So I hope to see you guys on Thursday for Pals Pulls. Thank you so much for being with us. You all rock. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other.